extra fee for that.
Guess we can rest a bit.
I'll think about it.
Can we play banker next time?
Exactly, but none of them believed me. There'll be an extra fee for that. I'll think
Rebooting.
about it.
I still have a lot to do at the guild. How about you take a rest while I go back?
Hey, what's up, celebrity fam? How you doing, man?
Yep, you're right.
Exactly, but none of them believed me. There'll be an extra fee for that.
Doing good. How about you? Pretty good, man. Pretty good. A little warm this evening, but nothing too awful. Thanks for asking, man. Hey, what's up, Unrevealed? Good to see you, man. Thriller, good to see you as always.
Lately. What do you say we take a day off from adventuring and just find somewhere nice to relax? Let Paimon think. It's been a while since we last saw that illuminated bird. She's always the one popping up out of nowhere and scaring us half to death. So let's surprise her this time.
Yeah, skyward!
Am I the only one feeling a little anxious? I feel like I'm running out of time. You know, like to do everything I gotta do.
Rex Lapis had been assassinated, she immediately threatened to squash Liyue Harbor. Paimon thought she'd be impossible to get along with. But now that we've spent some more time together, she's really not like that at all. We probably don't need to bring any offerings now that we've gotten to know her pretty well, right? Still, Paimon's got some snacks around here somewhere, so if she really wants something, we can just use that.
Elaborate.
Huh?
Elaborate what?
Did something catch your eye? Whoa. What a pretty lady. Is she also here to visit Cloud Retainer? Yeah, you're right. All it takes is one look and you can tell she's someone special. As expected of that bird lady, really. She must have a whole bunch of Adepti friends from all over the country. Okay, but if we're both friends of Cloud Retainer, then we're basically friends by association, right? Want to go up to her and say hello?
Hey, for you, what are you running out of time of? Oh yeah. Sorry. I was listening to the dialogues. I was sort of I lost my train of thought there. But yeah, I don't know why. Like I just feel so anxious. I know that we're still on the first half of 4.4, but I feel like I just have so much to do. Like okay, I got 100% the 3 sub-regions in Chenyu Vale on my 3rd and 2nd account. And I gotta go find the 50 Spirit Carp on my 2nd account. Let me see what else.
Has the shift in form so clouded your eyes
Yeah,
that you
so
no
that's
longer
quite a
recognize
lot,
them
quite a
anymore?
lot.
Wait,
The rapture is near, what?
huh? You're the illuminated bird?
Oh, donning human form is scarcely any test of one's abilities. As for your confusion, one merely had no reason to indulge such inclinations before.
So, you're indulging now because?
Well, one has made plans to pay a visit to some disciples at Liyue Harbor.
There's no deadline though.
Taking on a human
Well,
form for such a
I'm
trip
going
is
to
simply a
guess
way to make matters
4.5
less
doesn't have a new
inconspicuous.
region.
You? Worrying about
Just a
being
guess,
a low
just a guess.
profile?
So I guess my mental deadline that my brain just comes up with and decides to make me anxious with is I guess it's afraid that I can't do all of it before 4.4 ends, because like what if there's a new region in 4.5? Just stuff like that. Your guess is correct. Oh, really? Okay. I mean, like, my guess was just, we've introduced a pretty big chunk of Fontaine already. I mean, I wouldn't even be surprised if there were no more regions in Fontaine. Oh, there goes my bit rate. Jeez, what is wrong with the internet recently? What's up, Chauvin? How's it going, man? Hey, yay. I should not be able to sleep by that logic. I have to get both Nivelette and Kazuha. 0 pity, 100 pulse. Okay. Well, you shouldn't think like I do then. Because it's honestly, I wish I didn't think like this. Boy. Alright, well. Whatever. I guess I'll just have to keep going then. And hope my bitrate goes back to normal.
So you have taken care to follow the proper rules of etiquette after all. Most commendable.
Well, this is all Paimon's got. You don't mind, right?
One has never found oneself lacking in basic comforts. On the contrary, it is the gesture that one values above all else. So long as you've shown proper respect and consideration, the quantity or quality of the gift is but a trivial matter.
Just started 5 minutes ago. Yes, I did. Just right now. RJ, is Ganyu worth my primos? Honestly, Celebrity Fam, what is your goal? If your goal is thinking getting Ganyu will push you further up the spiral abyss or like get you more stars, something similar to that, then right now, no. Right now, no. Is your goal to like keep on vertically investing into your Ganyu until you get her C6, you get her Nahida and Bennett and like I don't know, like and Kazuha C2 with Freedom Sworn, like essentially to make it so that you at some point in the far future you're going to have like a whale Ganyu team. Sure. Yeah, like definitely. But if you're thinking that you can just get Ganyu C0, no Amos bow, no like special, no 5-star bow, not even like the first great magic or whatever, and have just a decent build, not even a really good build, just a decent build, like 70 crit rate, 150 crit damage, something like that. Overworld, yes, but like getting you more stars in the abyss, taking you up an entire floor in abyss, not right now. Yeah, because Abyss has not been friendly to freeze teams for quite a long time now, and
Ganyu is likely still working at Yue High Pavilion, so that shall be our first stop.
So of course now, even back then, we could always just use Ganyu for melt, but then it's just not like, especially at F2P levels of investment, it's just not as good as F2P levels of investment of other top tier DPSs. And even with Nahida burn melt, it's still just, yeah, it's not terrible, but it's still, you need to have a really good build on your Ganyu and your supports and your team for her in burn melt or just traditional melt Ganyu, for it to be even anywhere close to be capable of 3-starring floor 12. Even on the current one, like even though the current floor 12 has a pretty low total HP compared to the highest HP that we've ever gotten in floor 12. Essentially what I'm saying is current floor 12 is not very hard. It's one of the easier floor 12s that we've had in quite a while. And even then, a really well-built Ganyu can probably still just about 3-star it. If your other team is also really cracked.
If one were to proudly proclaim one's presence, Ganyu would surely confess herself
but
not
if
one
your
to
goal,
trouble her.
I'm very biased by answering this. In the overworld, I think she's great. Right? Like you can see, you're not always here, but I'm pretty sure every time you're here, you see me use Ganyu in the overworld. It's basically all the time.
Is that lady someone you know, Miss Ganyu?
So in the overworld, I think she's great.
I'm sorry, Huixin. But could we delay the
Yeah,
upcoming meeting for a
honestly,
little bit?
like I just
I believe my schedule-
hardly ever run into
Huixin.
trouble with Ganyu as my DPS in the overworld. She has really good, well, not really good, really good for the overworld damage multipliers, and it's good enough for most things in the overworld.
And too.
And it's
been quite some
AoE.
time since I last saw
It's
you
AoE,
perform.
and it's not burst dependent. You don't have to do an entire rotation just to get Ganyu's damage out in the overworld. You just, get your shield up, maybe use your Kazuha or use your Animo unit to, proc VV, and then that's it. Right, just start charged attacking on Ganyu. But again, some people might not appreciate that playstyle. Some people might think that's boring. As for me, Genshin is sort of like my relax game. It's like the game where I play it so that I could turn my brain off and just chill. And that's why I don't like this sooty try-hard gamer even in the overworld. I want just like a way to just turn my brain off. That's why I have Zhongli on the overworld team. So just put the shield up. Don't even bother about dodging stuff. Have her best supports and ammos. Okay. So when you say best supports, what kind of teams? A Blizzard Trayer build on my Chongyun. Oh jeez. Oh god. Well, okay. In that case, so it seems like you're thinking of Freeze Ganyu. No. If again, like I said, if your goal is to get more stars in the Abyss, if your goal is to push further up into the Abyss, or if you can already 36-star Abyss currently, if your goal is thinking, okay, I'll get Ganyu, I already have the stuff ready for her in a Freeze team, and when I have my Freeze Ganyu team, Abyss will be easier. No. Abyss, just like I said, has just not been friendly to any Freeze team. Even Ayaka. Like, we all know how strong Ayaka is, and even Ayaka is not very fun to play in Abyss. Like, she's gonna have plenty DPS, but because of the way that the enemies are arranged, like the fact that they come in multiple waves, how not easy. It's possible to crowd control them, but it's just not like hold Kazuha E, everything clumps up together, put Kokomi jellyfish down, everything frozen, alright, boom, burst, and then everything dead. Right? It's enemies just aren't very crowd controllable. And the layout and the layout and the fact that they're like split into multiple waves, just not very friendly for Freeze, even Ayaka Freeze.
One would hardly think such a thing to be possible.
Yeah, but then overworld, I will like overworld basically becomes brain dead easy. The only time where you'll actually have to, the only thing you have to watch out for is running into a group of cryo slimes. But if you have if there's a what's the word I'm looking for? If there's like a torch somewhere or any sorts of fire anywhere, and you have Kazuha on the team, especially if your Kazuha is built as a decently built as a hybrid Kazuha, then you got the overworld covered. Hey, what's up, Siri? Good to see you, man. I've seen your messages up there. I just
describe Cloud Retainer herself.
I was just rambling. I didn't wanna derail my train of thought there. You are playing this story quest now? Yes, of course. I just finished this minutes ago. Lol. All right. I've done this. How many times have I done this? Hang on, let me think. 1, 2, 3. This would be my 4th time doing this. I've already done it on my 3rd account, on my friend's account. I did it on my 2nd account this afternoon. And this afternoon, I actually paid attention to it. Like, I wanted to know what was up, because Xianyun, for the longest time, I've always been very upfront about this, that I didn't like Xianyun. In fact, even after I saw her human form, which, you know, was pretty attractive to most people, I was still sort of turned off by her personality, her persona, and like her character. And I just wanted to see if there was any reason for me to like her more. And apparently, cool, I like her a lot more after this quest.
An abundant rain burst forth from the heavens. Drought and plague were both driven away, and the people were saved.
Wow, that's incredible!
Chenyu Vale has the easiest puzzles alongside Fontaine. Fontaine puzzles? Well, yeah. Sumeru and... I gotta say, Sumeru and Inazuma... I mean... I appreciate that they put in so much effort into the puzzles, but the Sumeru and Inazuma puzzles, man,
How laughable.
I don't even know how to describe it. I think Hoyo severely underestimated players' interest in playing Genshin and doing exploration. And I imagine they started work on Sumeru, and like the way that the puzzles were, like overall, like the way that the puzzles were going to work, and like the mindset that you would have to have doing puzzles. They probably started work on it even before Inazuma came out. Because if, you know, they didn't, I imagine they didn't have enough time to react after a lot of players having really low exploration in Inazuma. And then by the time that they realized, oh, not a lot of people are doing these puzzles, so I guess they're too hard for the players, and the casual players that make up the big majority of our player base and our spender player base aren't interested. Like, they try it out for a bit and then they just give up and leave and never come back. And then, but what about Sumeru? Sumeru has puzzles that are just as hard as this. Well, we've already designed 65% of them. We can't exactly stop now. So, yeah. I imagine that's probably what happened. And then, there was the last part of Sumeru, the last two sub-regions, I did notice were a lot more similar in terms of like amount of effort required per amount of progress.
As soon as you mentioned him,
was a lot less than like in the earlier parts of the desert and in the jungle, Sumeru and Inazuma.
You get what I'm saying.
Yori gets compared with Chi-Chi. What? What, really? Why? Like, by her appearance?
I'm far more interested in getting her details than ordering any dishes. Hey, how about you ask her?
I'm planning to pull for her, for fun. I don't do Abyss every reset. I play casually. Okay. Hey, I mean, like, again, you know, it really, when you say,
Greetings, miss.
yeah, it's really hard for, especially if you want to give an accurate answer. It's really hard to say just one answer and then that answer is just correct. When somebody says, should I pull for this character? Is this character worth my Primo Gems? Etc. Right? Like any similar question to that. Because it really depends on what your goal is. And if your goal is to have fun, then Ganyu will give you the specific gameplay, because especially because she's a DPS, right? She will give you the specific gameplay that her DPS playstyle, you know, is like how it's designed and meant to be played.
Master? Huh. One does not recall ever revealing this form to you before.
By her skills, the community saying Shiori's skills are not very good. Really? Okay. I see. Alright, well.
For more than 10 years.
I mean,
I would recognize you no matter what form you
honestly, I wouldn't even, what's the word I'm looking for? I wouldn't even bat an eye. Shiori is just, I don't know, she seems kind of random. Like she just came out of nowhere. Right? Like first time we're introduced to Chiori, just in an event quest, and she's not even very significant in there. Like she's just a side character. Just shows up, has a few lines of dialogue, and that's it. Like she just seems so random. So I wouldn't even bat an eye if she was not great. Just not a lot of attachment. You know, not like characters like Cloud Retainer, for example. She's been here since like what, day one. Characters like honestly, I'm not sure why I'm so attached to Ganyu. What has she done? This like really big in the story. I guess she helped out like in the Liyue invasion. Well, it wasn't an invasion when what's his name? Osial was revived, I guess. But then like other than that, like not really, I guess. I don't know. I don't even remember what Ganyu's story quest was. As far as I remember, it was just like essentially work, and then go get a vacation. Okay, trying to get a vacation, nope, work, and I think that's her story quest. I don't remember really, but I imagine that it would be like that.
It is just as one expected.
Chiori is more relevant than Mooncarver, Mountain Shaper after they get NPC designs in human forms. That is true. But I also did not say that I'm in any way at all attached to Mooncarver and Mountain Shaper. Yeah, I don't know which voice is that. Like who has the really deep voice? Is that Mountain Shaper or Mooncarver? I don't know which one of them, but one of them has the really deep voice that I found really like. It's not like as cool as like Zhongli's, like Keith Silverstein's voice. But it also sounds kind of cool, just a bit.
They are in favor of a civil conversation.
Xianyun really got very high sale. Yeah, I imagine because like there's been, I wouldn't say there's been a lot of hype around Xianyun because like Xianyun's announcement.
And you, Master? How have you
been? for players that have been like that are
Simply marvelous.
very actively like looking up leaks, essentially like they like are subscribed to Genshin leak channels on YouTube. They are in on Discord channels that are essentially just centralized around like Genshin or Hoyo game leaks, right? For people that are like really active in with leaks, there was a lot of hype around Xianyun, especially because she was in day one, right? Like Hoyo never hinted at her ever being playable, and then all of a sudden we were shown her human form. And then all of a sudden,
By the way, Master,
she can be playable now. And then all of a sudden, these leaks started coming out, and then she will be playable.
Indeed.
right? And
She
when,
is similarly
especially because her kit is
preoccupied.
really unique.
There was time only
Do
to
we have
exchange
anybody else
simple
in the game
messages.
that enables other characters to
Told us the
plunge?
story of Collaboratainer's name. It was amazing. We never knew how beautiful she was before.
Yes, and plus the fact
see.
that she looks exactly
In that
like
case, allow me
Bayonetta.
to also share a
That's-
story about Master's past.
I think Hoyo
Is that a problem, Master?
Hoyo
I
did.
believe this to be a good topic of
I'm
conversation.
pretty sure the fact that she looks
No, not a problem.
she's basically
One was simply
Bayonetta.
caught off guard.
The fact that
But
she's
no matter,
essentially
please
Bayonetta,
proceed.
I think Hoyo did that on
I was
purpose.
curious to see how
Right,
much
like,
of one's own conversational prowess you possess.
It's possible that the designers
Master once
probably
participated in a race
like they
against
probably
Mooncarver.
played that game,
After
right?
Mooncarver
They,
lost,
they
he
probably
insisted
played that
Master's
game
ability
and
to
took a lot of
fly
inspiration
gave her
for
a
that
natural
from
edge
that,
in
and
such a
then
contest.
if not that,
In
then at
response,
least if
Master
not
agreed to
Bayonetta
forego
specifically,
flying
because like
in return for being
her
able to use one of her
aesthetic,
devices
like
in the
Bayonetta's
race.
aesthetic, is like
Mooncarver
it's a very
only to find Master with a brand new
How
device
do I
on the
put
day
it?
of the contest.
it's like
What kind of device was it?
I wouldn't say it's a
It
common
was a
like
mechanical vehicle
trope,
made out of
but
iron. What was it called again?
well, I'll just say it's not a very common trope.
Electro-powered
Yeah, it's not a
bicycle.
very common trope, but
Oh,
it's
you
kind of
refer
common.
to the bicycle
Like the
and
way,
flashmobile.
right? Like tall,
One set
slender
49
woman
days
with
conceptualizing
really
and crafting
good-looking
it.
curves,
It need only
really
be
long
fused with
hair,
projectile energy,
and
and it can cover thousands of miles
and
in one
she's
day.
not even human,
Oh, it boggles the mind why Mooncarver
right? Very
ever
smart
supposed he
and
might
very
match
hard
me
to
in a contest
ignore
of locomotion.
their assets.
Though he sprinted with
Because
all
like
his might,
the whole
he
this
can't
afternoon, doing this quest,
Alas,
like
the one
every
flaw in the
time,
mechanism lay in
every
its
time
weakness
like
against
there's a
Master's
solo shot of
will.
her,
One was thwarted
I
mere
don't think there was a
seconds
single
when it
shot
was
of
thrown
her,
off
a
course
a single
and failed to
solo
make
shot
it
of her,
past the final
including her
stretch.
assets, that I could not ignore
Really
it.
a most
Like my
unfortunate
eye,
event.
like
Anyway, do go on, Shen.
if I ever did one of those streams where streams or made a video of like one of those
With
having
you
an
gone,
eye tracker
one
enabled
has
and
seldom felt
like
the
showing on the
desire to
screen
call upon those
where my
old
eyes are
fossils
looking
for
at,
another
I
contest. What is a race without spectators, after all?
I would probably just make a fool of myself,
lonely,
or just prove like that's exactly prove that well, I'm a dude.
Come and go in the blink of
Pro-
an eye.
prove even more that I'm a dude.
Even one's own self-directed musings can span several days
So
and nights.
I mean, like,
Most
jeez, I can't help it. I just looked at it.
mention of it is
I
preposterous.
literally just looked at it. Like, it's so hard to ignore. Anyway, so
What is
the
the
aesthetic is
reason for that
quite
look upon
common,
your face?
right? And I'm sure
Nothing.
Hoyo is not just the designer himself or herself, but also the leadership who approved of it.
But all it
Probably
took was a
thought
few words out of your mouth, and it's like you're back
she has
being
some
that
hype
illuminated bird again.
behind her,
I was just a little bit
and I'm sure a
confused.
lot of
Which
a lot
one
of people's
to choose
ears are
is
gonna
the real
twitch when they hear
To me,
Cloud Retainer
they are both,
playable.
Master.
Like when they
One
hear
is the
that
master
anywhere,
that's widely revered by the
and then
people,
they see the design
other
is
is the
like is
master that I
in
respect
cross
and
reference
adore.
with something that they potentially like,
One
that
finds
they
oneself
potentially have played
exulting
before,
and
or
dancing with
something
sweet
like it.
words
It
of
also
praise
touches
and
that
flattery from most
the
intelligent
nostalgia
nature.
nerve, right? It touches the
You chose
nostalgia
to
nerve,
insult one
and even
with
if
your
it doesn't
words,
make those
yet
players
you
who played that
refuse
game
to grace
nostalgic,
Mount outside
then
with your
it still
presence
makes
for
them
any
feel like,
extended period of
whoa, that's so
time.
cool.
One would almost
And on top of
question
that, she has a really
sincerity
unique
of your
kit.
estimations. This is not to say that your words paint an inaccurate picture. One has always lived by a single ideal. Eschew all action and abide
Attached
by
to
no
Zhongli and
rule.
Child from day one.
One does as
Oh,
one
all right.
pleases
What
and
what's your
speaks as
story,
one
Chauvin?
pleases.
Why
Others
why
may critique
Tartaglia?
or praise as they see fit. Yet one places little weight in such
Zhongli, I can sort of get because like he's sort of very much like a dad. He's very much like a dad.
Do you have any empty tables?
Right? Like imagine what he did with Liyue. Right? Like he wanted to retire. He had something really valuable. Somebody wanted the thing he wanted, the thing he had, the valuable thing he had. So he decided,
I
you know
need
what?
more
Before I
this
retire,
time. I should get back to work.
if you can, yeah, test my kids,
I'll try my best.
see if they're independent enough for me to retire, and then I'll give you this. Right? Like, isn't that one of the most dad things you could ever do?
So much yummy food! Paimon's
But Tartaglia though, I guess Tartaglia. He's done a lot of major things in the plotline, but like emotionally, I guess the thing I like about him the most is like this. He is a battle maniac, and I'm pretty sure that's like the biggest reason why he just fights us and everybody else. But then like just aside from that, like without all of that, he's still like really friendly. He has high respect for you, for people. He loves his family. He's a family guy, right? Like he loves his siblings. He loves his family very much, and
Shall we try somewhere else, Granny?
yeah, he respects his enemies even.
But it smells so delightful. Can we really not eat here? My poor legs can't go on for much longer.
How's Chiori gonna make something better than Balenciaga and Gucci? Child is the coolest, most fun character, both in lore and playstyle. I guess. Wait, who has a similar playstyle to Tartaglia? You know, having two play modes, melee and ranged. I guess technically, Tartaglia doesn't really have a ranged mode. Like, in what world is anyone using Tartaglia in bow mode? Technically, he really only has one playstyle, which is melee. And I understand that you can use his burst in melee form or ranged form, but that's not a difference in playstyle. That's just using an ability in a different mode.
Granny? Yep. Is there something wrong with that? No. Paimon's just a bit surprised. She looks so young. Yeah. A lot of people compliment Granny on her youthful looks, but she's actually much older than she appears.
Yeah, and I think Hoyo also did not want to mess up Xianyun.
Come on, it's not polite to stay.
Yeah, especially because
Have we met before?
now I have two guesses as to why. One is they know that a lot of players really like Cloud Retainer,
What would you like to eat?
or the leadership themselves and the guys in charge really like Cloud Retainer. That's and I think those are the two main possible ways that they made Cloud Retainer quite good. Like, she's not amazing,
Earthworms?
but she's like, there's just no way to say that she's bad.
Right.
She's not very necessary, but it would also never be bad to have her on your account unless if you just really don't like the plunge playstyle. You know, otherwise you'll think, okay, I wasted my primos. I don't like this playstyle. I think that's the only way that anyone can say, I don't like her, or she's bad.
Actually, her memory's been bad ever since I was little. But they died young. It's just me and Granny now. Oh, but it's okay. Don't feel bad. Granny loves me a lot, and I love her a lot too. Sure. Wow, you're really tough for your age, kid. You're too kind.
And me? Oh, what about me?
You're tough too, Granny. Plus, you're really gentle, and you're always there for me.
Yes, and it's hardly as if I forget everything. I still remember the important things. Wait, what was that?
Xianyun can fly to the top of the mountains faster than climbing a mountain. I mean, you know, obviously she's a bird.
I had a dream where everything
oh, you mean like playstyle, like gameplay? Yeah, I guess so.
She told me to come and find her, and that once
Be true, Cloud Retainer, don't turn me on.
I would be free.
But character like Kafka from Star Rail is super mommy for me.
It was just a dream, so I forgot about it.
You know,
but I
I really like Cloud Retainer after doing this quest.
You know,
Like her character, I mean.
I've had this dream a great many times. But just how many times have I had it? Now that
I don't know. I think they did it quite. They did her story, her story quest quite well.
That sounds spooky.
They made her
Does that mean you're possessed?
quite a relevant character in what's the word I'm looking for?
Unlikely. Her eyes are clear and her breathing remains calm and level.
Well, maybe nothing related to the main storyline, but at least in the lives of a lot of other characters that players like for example, right, like the fact that she is the master of Ganyu and Shenhe, and a lot of people really like Ganyu, a lot of people really like Shenhe, and despite Ganyu not being very very meta for a very long time now, a lot of players I think still like Ganyu, not as much as they do other characters, especially newer characters, right? Like okay, for let me see, okay, character like Farina, for example, right? A lot of, oh my god, after the last Archon quest, you know, when it was finally revealed what Farina is, who Farina is, what she's been doing for the past 500 years, every fan art of Farina, in the comments, there's no way that I will not see somebody saying something that essentially is saying, oh, she's like, poor Farina, I want to take care of her, I want to protect her, I want to give her a hug.
Oh, we don't need any payment for this.
Got Happy as Skyward Atlas for his C1 Xianyun. Wait, Happy, doesn't he have Oathsworn?
Thank you.
I mean, I know that Atlas is gonna give a lot more attack, but
Miss Xianyun?
he doesn't have Oathsworn? I mean, I imagine it's Oathsworn just, you know, it helps out a lot with the energy. And I don't think it's that much less ER, no, not ER, attack.
Once we
Unless if he doesn't have Oathsworn. Oh, he does. Oh, okay.
Remember which places you went to
T1
when you
though.
were young?
Why, of
Wait,
course
wait,
I do.
C1?
The heavens above.
He got C1?
The whisper
Oh my god.
and
Happy's
the
account truly is
Okay.
the account of all time.
I might have an idea. Once when I was really
Yeah, because like, I mean, I don't know how much ER would you have to have on Xianyun. I mean, like, I guess the nice thing about Xianyun is because she just wants attack. Doesn't really care too much about like crit or any other stat. So essentially, all you'll just be looking for in her equipment would be attack main stat, attack, and then ER substat, and that's it. And sure, that's a lot better. Certainly a lot better than farming for attack, damage percent, and crit rate or damage on the main stats, and crit rate and crit damage, and or attack percent or HP percent or ER in the substats. Certainly a lot easier, right? So okay, I guess so.
Street word rambler?
I don't know. I guess like maybe if he already has the artifacts, like triple attack with a lot of ER, probably like having substats, enough ER substats to get him to get her to around like 200 220 ER. Or if he doesn't mind running like an ER Sands. I mean, I guess the attack from Atlas kind of makes up for that. Cloud Retainer has a maternal feature. That's why I don't like simping on Cloud Retainer. you know, that is a... Okay, yo, I don't know how old you are, Chauvin. I don't know how old you are. I imagine you're not quite old yet. I imagine you're on the younger side. But I don't think you're the target demographic for for Xianyun. Oh, jeez.
That's right.
I gotta stop
Novels
thinking
often
about what I'm
speak of
thinking
the
right
great
now.
drought from 50 years ago.
I don't.
As the people
I
suffered,
don't think you're the
a
target
nameless heroine
demographic
appeared
for
and began to
Xianyun.
lure away evil spirits and
Abortion his skin.
handicaps.
Oh, nice, nice. Wait,
People
on your
idolized
account
her,
or
but
like, cause
never learned her name.
you,
All
you
they
have
knew
like a million
was that she
accounts, dude.
always acted
I mean,
alone.
not all of them are yours, but
Later, though, she
I don't
supposedly
even
fell
know
in
how
love
many
with a
accounts you
similarly
have.
noble-minded exorcist from Mount Tianheng. They were
The
well
accounts that are
known in more ways
yours.
than one. Often after the drought ended, the heroine and the exorcist left the public eye and began living a reclusive life in the mountains. All that remained were tales of her incredible
Yeah, you know, like
accomplishments.
I'm just saying,
This
Chauvin.
nameless heroine
I
faded from fame
I
to
mean,
obscurity
we
later
all
in life
understand this,
is
right?
not too
Not
dissimilar from
every
Liyue and I.
character in the game
I think
can
that's
be
somewhat helpful.
designed and characterized for
It's nothing
to
at all.
target
Just something
every
I came across
demographic
while
of player.
reading. I did do a bit of extra research on her story, but
23
it was just
years
out
old.
of
Okay,
personal
okay.
curiosity.
All right. I'm picturing out 23-year-old me, and I think I would have exactly the same opinion as you. I would think, okay,
Let me think.
she's like a literal
In the
mom,
novels, the nameless heroine
not
always
attractive
appeared near
for
one
me.
of three
Like
places.
immediately turns me off.
Gongshu Inn, the area just north of Jueyun Park.
I think, yeah, I would have exactly the same opinion as
Perhaps
you.
the real-life heroine who inspired the character. You're welcome. To be honest, I found some parts of the story confusing when
You know,
I first came across
you know.
it.
I mean, like I'm on my
Liyue
main
and Nahida
account,
is
and I've,
indeed the
you know, my
original
MC is
inspiration for the
Lumine.
character.
On my
She
second
may
and
just
third
be able to help
accounts,
me put the pieces
especially
together.
on my second
rare for
account,
a
you know,
chivalrous
like where
hero
I
to
did
fade
the
into
quest
obscurity
earlier
during their
today,
lifetime.
and I actually
Even after retiring
watched
from the
the
public
like I actually paid attention to it. I
No one
watched
ever saw or
I
heard
watched
from
it
the nameless
essentially as if
heroine
it was an
again.
anime,
There were even rumors that she
and
became
my MC was
extremely ill.
Ether.
I've never understood why someone would go to such lengths
I can't
to erase
say-
themselves from public memory.
I can't say I never
Almost as
thought
if she
about
was trying to
wanting
hide from
Ether to
something.
be older and
There's probably
taller.
far more to the story than what's been written. We'll be sure to tell you if we manage to uncover the truth.
Because Ether,
That's a deal.
I think.
Perhaps behind the truth of it all, there lies a story more
So
fantastical
what's
than any work
the
of
what's the
fiction.
equivalent of being friend zoned? But like, but the girl wants you to hook up with her daughters. What is that like?
Oh, right. There's a drought in this story too.
I don't know. I don't know what to call it.
Super common in Liyue or something. Well,
Mom zoned?
but people have long since developed methods to prevent
Is that a
them,
thing?
like by cultivating the soil or digging so while droughts
If
do
it's not,
happen
then
from
let's
time
make
to
it a
time,
thing.
They are rarely regarded as true disasters. The drought 50 years ago is probably one of the worst we've
Oh,
had
I don't
in
know
the
if you
last
guys
several
saw that short from Kettle Toro.
Streams ran dry.
It's
and
adorable.
monsters in
It's
the
so
mountains
funny.
became
Oh,
rabid and
like,
agitated.
well, maybe not funny,
Countless
like
caravans were
comedic
attacked.
funny, but just
People who lost their
adorable, I
homes
think.
came together to form
Like,
band groups.
and I have no idea
Started
where
as a
Kettle
natural
Toro got that
disaster,
footage from.
soon became
She
a
had
human
footage
tragedy as well.
of what looked like
Yeah.
it was
That's
one of those
exactly
like
why the
pre-rendered
nameless heroine was so
footage,
beloved.
and it's not like
She must
this.
have been
It's not
someone
like
of true
pre-rendered
integrity
images from
to
like
do so much for
the
people
3D
while asking
world.
nothing in
It's one
return.
of those
Still,
2D
as terrible as
like
that drought was,
color
it was nothing compared to
pastel
the truly calamitous
animations
disasters that
from
befell this
Genshin,
land
from
in ancient times.
Hoyo.
They say that back in those days, disasters were both more
Yeah, it's one of
severe
those
and
like
more
2D animations
strongest
from
of the Deptide could
like
reach this
color
valley
pastel, like a
ruin and
very different
devastation.
like color scheme, and it's all in 2D,
common. Do you have any other questions?
or at least it looks like it's all in 2D. I'm sure there's some 3D aspects in there as well, but yeah, we Kettle Toro had some footage showing like the 2D color pastel animation of Cloud Retainer in her bird form, essentially putting fish. So we all know that there's a fishing spot on Mount Aotsang, right?
It's no problem at all.
There's a fishing spot on Mount Aotsang, and apparently that's because Cloud Retainer puts fish in the pond on Mount Aotsang. She puts the fish there, hoping that the traveler, Ether, will go to Mount Aotsang to go fishing. so that he could see Shenhe or Ganyu.
I have recorded the tune that you requested. I hope it will be of help to you.
Oh, thank you. Straight word, ping. What has amused you so?
At this point, I wouldn't even be surprised if we got a playable
I was just reminiscing about the last time I
Madam
saw you
Ping.
in this form. Time has wrought such change in this world.
I want Guizhong to be born again because I feel sad for Zhongli.
Just the same
Well,
as ever.
oh, speaking of Zhongli, I just recently learned. Well, I don't know if it's true or if it's just theories from lore theorists. Apparently, so Zhongli, we sort of all refer to him as a dragon, right? But but Zhongli isn't one of the 7 sovereign dragons. I don't know if that's been proven or if there's like lore somewhere in the game that proves that to be fact. But essentially, every lore theorist out there sort of agrees on it. That Zhongli is not the Geo dragon sovereign, despite being very old.
What are you two talking about?
And apparently he's some sort of... He's similar to like King Deseret. At least that's what what the lore theorists say. He's similar to King Deseret, where he's some sort of god king. And there's even like the way that Xianyun. Okay, spoiler alert. We're gonna see Zhongli later. The way that Xianyun sort of
Thank you so much.
it interacts with him, like later towards the end of Xianyun's story quest.
According to the story,
It looks like someone who feels awkward that their king was just calling them by their name as if they're equals.
There was this one time I found a box in our attic full of a bunch of weird sigils. I think so too. Granny might remember something once she's returned to a familiar place.
What marvelous tea. I can taste the dew.
Speaking of Guizhong as well, have you seen that footage from when was that? It was around the time that around the time that I don't remember what version that was. It was 3 point something, not 3.0, but 3 point something. I think it was 3.0, 3.1, maybe 3.2. I don't remember. But when we got the Archon quest where the traveler duels Signora and Signora gets KO'd. And at that point, we see the Harbingers. We see all of them. Was it all of them? I'm not sure if that was all of them. And we saw quite a bunch of them. We saw our first glimpse at... Why can't I remember her name? The Fontanian Harbinger. What's her name? Why can I never remember her name?
But are you guys all adepti in disguise?
I don't know why. I can never remember her name. Whatever. So we got our first glimpse of her. Honestly, I thought it was a dude. I really thought it was a dude, and I had no idea she had long hair. I really just thought she had short hair, and I really thought it was a dude. I thought it was a he.
Must have been a slip of the tongue. Xianyun, since you were the one who misspoke, maybe you can explain to Xiyu here what you really meant by that.
And included in the footage was also a glimpse of Marionette.
Is that of some...
Arlecchino, thank you. Yeah, included in the footage was also Marionette. I don't remember what her other name was, her demon name was, but yeah, the Marionette was there too, and she looked the yeah, the resemblance was uncanny. She looked basically exactly like Guizhong. And like at the time, people were like, oh, "It's Guizhong! It's Guizhong! It's Guizhong! It's Guizhong!" And like, because the Cloud Retainer and Guizhong are known to be sort of rivals when it comes to like inventing stuff, and like they're both sort of inventors, and they're sort of rivals in that regard, right? And wouldn't the marionette be somebody who is good at like making stuff like like technology stuff, right? Robots, essentially. What is a robot if not a puppet? What is a marionette? Right? Controls puppets. Recently though, lower theorists have been straying away from that theory. And at some point recently, especially after the Narcissus Kreitz story, world story. Sorry, what? World story quest? World. World quest. World quest storyline. There you go. Especially after the Narcissus Kreitz world quest storyline, there were a few main characters in that storyline, apparently that were similar to researchers, I guess. Yeah, is what you would call them back then. Researchers, and some of them were into mechanics and stuff. And one of them was named Mary. Essentially the first part of Marionette. Marionette. And recently, lower theorists have been straying away from that theory as well. But some still have not completely ruled it out.
I believe I used to have a room here. It had a window. Yes, I spent a lot of time looking out that window. Which room?
I'll come with. Paimon's still having some trouble understanding what she's talking about, but if she's so familiar with this place, that must mean she lived here, right? Whoa! Xiao, what are you doing here all of a sudden? You scared the living daylights out of Paimon!
Oh, one other thing that I really like about Genu's story quest is there are so many appearances from other characters.
Then there's likely no trouble.
There's quite a lot, honestly.
I suppose there's no cause for
a lot more than I think.
It's been a while.
Yeah, a lot more than I think other character story quests have. I can't, I haven't counted, but it was just surprising to me that we had this many character appearances. So who did we have? So playable characters, we had Xingqiu, here we have Zhao right now, and at some point we're gonna have Zhongli, like I said, and including non-playable characters, we had Madame Ping.
An impressive imitation.
And I think that's one of the things that I really look forward to the most when it comes to like character quests, etc. Especially because character quests don't really have a lot of combat stuff, and combat is sort of one of the main reasons why I like Genshin. It just has a really unique combat system that I don't think I've. I'm sure there's some similar combat systems in some other games, but those other games are probably not as polished as Genshin is in terms of like every other aspect other than combat, like animation, smoothness of animations, like animations that like we essentially they look so smooth because they're not skipping any frames in animations just so to complete the different animations, and at the same time they somehow have made the animations so, how would I describe it, like long enough or short enough to fit that character's multipliers and their job, like essentially what kind of kit they have.
One believes there is little need to relive bygone matters.
Granny, are you okay?
Back then, at this place,
Perhaps this conversation should end here. I
Yeah,
shall
and
take
other
my
than
leave.
that, well, it's
Should you
sort of
encounter
my
any trouble,
sort of my
need only
therapy.
call my name.
Yeah, it's a therapy game for me.
However, given that you are traveling with Cloud,
Whenever I'm stressed,
I trust you are in good
I turn my
hands.
brain off, get Genshin going, and there you go. Personal therapy session. Just a thing for me to do while with my brain turned off. Something that I enjoy. Something casual that I enjoy.
a long time ago, I stayed here to recuperate from my illness.
So what Shinjo said was true! You did fall ill! Was that why you went into hiding?
So I'm kind of curious now.
Don't remember.
Oh, you know what?
I'm
I
very
shouldn't talk
sorry,
about it just yet.
but
This
I
is.
can't even remember
I
the
would be
name of
spoiling
my
way too much of
illness.
this story quest. Like
The
I'll
only thing
I guess I'll
can
talk about it
remember
later.
Is that it took a great toll on
So
me.
anyway, for
and
those
there
of
was
you
no
who
cure for it.
have done
I
this
was
story
confined
quest
to my
already and don't
room
really
and
care,
locked you in,
to
where I
you
spent
know,
many
and you're
days
now you're kind of
unconscious.
curious as to
I
what
come
happened,
to at one
or
day
those of
I
you who
met a
haven't done it
traveling
and don't mind
merchant.
spoilers,
He told me that the
so
pits
far
had
what's
been
happened
found
is
But if your illness remained dormant
we
for
essentially
several
the
decades,
traveler
I just
essentially
didn't
just
know.
decided
And it was all
a
thanks
very
to the
spontaneous
hypnosis
visit
that you
to
managed
Cloud
to keep
Retainer,
the
went him out
symptoms in
outsang.
check.
Apparently, first time
My
they've
brain
seen
kinda hurts.
Xianyun. So apparently her story quest
I'm
should
sorry,
come
I
before the Lantern Rite
Oh,
quest,
if only I wasn't
the
so
Lantern Rite event
useless.
quest. Because apparently at the beginning of Xianyun's story quest,
Spent so much
the
for
traveler doesn't know who she
you
is.
to show up.
has never seen her human form.
Could you say that about yourself?
Oh, fret not, dear child. Granny was just a bit frustrated. That's all.
The recovery of a person's memories is a gradual process.
Next location.
She only knows a lot of things more than Nivelette. I'm not sure why you have to. Why you? Okay, I get that you're a Zhongli fan, but I also don't know why you seem to be defending Zhongli when nobody's like saying anything about it. Oh, speaking of Zhongli and Nivelette, there was a really short moment in the last. Yeah, it was the last part of the event story quest for Lantern Rite, and where it's never really hinted, but Zhongli sort of has this like little smirk on his face, very unusual smirk that you never really see on Zhongli, and the traveler is thinking, is Zhongli avoiding Nivelette? Because from what I remember, Nivelette apparently is okay. In his words, he plans to judge all the Archons for their actions and decisions.
It's an abandoned house. Why don't we take a break over there?
This place.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm kind of curious how the two would what's the word I'm looking for?
Show you
Interact with each other.
is where your father was born. It was a moonless night. I had been injured. So
And I hate Zhongli. I mean, I imagine he kind of
we
doesn't
fled
like
together
all
with
the
some
Archons
being in the fog
because
behind
of
us in
because like think about it.
I
Nivelette
had
is one of the
exhausted my
dragon
strength
sovereigns.
When the labor pains came on,
What are the
took
Archons?
refuge in this house.
What do they do?
Your grandpa set
Right?
up a barrier
They are
outside,
essentially
but
who
neither of us knew
Celestia
if it could hold the
bestowed
monsters back.
upon the,
Remember that night.
I guess,
I remember
stolen
falling
powers,
to my knees,
or they're not
reciting
powers.
a prayer
They refer to them
over
as
and
authority.
over.
The stolen, the half,
Sin.
the stolen half
Punish me
authority
as you wish
of the
for
dragon
breaking my
sovereigns.
oath.
Right? Essentially,
Spare my innocent
before Focalors
Oh,
destroyed the throne of the Hydro Archon.
I don't know. I
Essentially,
don't
the system
remember.
was Nivelette, the
I
Dragon
only
Sovereign,
remember
only had
praying in
half
the
of
darkness
his
with all
authority
my
over
strength
Hydro, and the Hydro Archon, or the throne of the Hydro Archon, had half of the authority of over Hydro, right? And that authority over Hydro originally belonged to the Hydro Dragon Sovereign. And right now, because all the other elemental Archon thrones, I guess, are still there. They haven't been destroyed by, like in a similar fashion to how Foslor's did unalived herself.
You're so much like him, and I love you both so much.
So essentially, all the Dragon Sovereigns still own, like, wherever they are, if they are even alive, only have half of their authority over their respective elements, because the Archon holds the other half. And so while the Archons themselves didn't take those powers, that authority directly from the Dragon Sovereigns, but they are who Celestia essentially decided, okay, you represent us now.
All right. Let's not.
And they're also sort of their lackeys. I imagine, right? Like, somebody gives you that much power, I imagine, you're kind of on their leash at that point. And I'm sure they've done a lot of things that Neuvillette probably would not approve of. RJ, hey, what's up, Puppeteer? How's it going, man? Good. Me, I'm good, man. I mean, it's a bit warm. Honestly, I thought it wouldn't be too warm this evening. Before I started streaming, everything was fine, and then now it's gotten quite warm. I imagine it's probably because I'm streaming. And whenever I stream, because I don't have two monitors, I only have one monitor. Because I don't have two monitors, I have, and obviously I want to stream at 1080p, but my monitor is only 1080p. So if I have Genshin at 1080p, and I don't want to play Genshin at 720p and then just have OBS upscale it to 1080p, because like it just doesn't look as good. Especially after YouTube compression, it just looks awful, I think. In fact, I don't even think 1080p streaming is very good. I wish I could go back to streaming 1440p, and I don't remember why I stopped. Oh yeah, because like I think it was like somewhere in December. Yeah, somewhere in December, for some reason my internet I don't know. My internet has for some reason just not been as good as it used to be. And like it's still perfectly usable, but not like for streaming. I keep dropping frames. And like my bitrate is just all over the place. Just can't handle 1440p. Because 1440p bitrate is more than double of 1080p. At least like a decent bitrate for 1080p streaming and a decent bitrate for 1440p. So yeah, I wish I could go back to 1440p. But yeah, because even though I don't have a 1440p monitor, right, and I can't even set Genshin to 1440p, but I still just upscale it to 1440p. The biggest difference between like streaming at 1440p and outputting 1440p and streaming at 1440p and outputting as like a minimum amount of bitrate, which mostly I use like 11,500 kilobits per second. Is it kilobits or kilobytes? I imagine it's kilobits. No, it's kilobytes. Sorry. Yeah, kilobytes a second. Is because YouTube uses a different compression standard, which is a lot better than the compression standard that they use for 1080p. For 1080p videos below a certain bit rate. But they also use the better compression thing for bigger YouTubers, no matter what the quality is and what the bit rate is. So yeah, if you're a smaller creator, if you're a smaller streamer slash you know, YouTuber, then and if you don't upload in 1440p at that bitrate, then you are getting the worst compression thing. Compression standard. Here you go. Right. Essentially, your videos will look a little worse.
I never leave anything to chance.
But anyway, going back to what I was talking about, I have Genshin at full screen. Obviously, I have nowhere to have chat on, and so I have to open up my laptop and open up the streaming interface on YouTube in YouTube Studio over there, or over here rather. It's in front of me. So that means not only is my desktop. I haven't done this yet. Aha. No. No, I did. Okay, I couldn't open it. All right. Oh, it's still there. It's still there. Okay, I don't know if it'll disappear.
This is it.
Huh? But isn't this the mechanism that you were tinkering with when we first
Yeah, so essentially, not only is my desktop computer generating heat, so is my laptop.
A recent one at that.
My laptop's also generating heat, although it is a thin and light. But like, I don't know why it gets really hot.
Which when paired with a gentle
it gets really hot. I don't know why it gets really hot, and I assume it's probably because it's a thin and light. There's just not a lot of room for the air to move around in.
And anxiety, relieving exhaustion and insomnia, its potential.
Zhongli had confirmed connection to Celestia and Sarita. Celestia, obviously, all the Archons are connected to Celestia because that's where their gnosis comes from, right? But then a lot of the Archons have been giving up their gnosis, right? And Sarita, I imagine. Well, I mean, it's never really. At least as far as I know, he himself does not straight up say, "Oh, we have a deal," or "We have a plan." No, at least not in the Liyue Archon quest. And I don't know if there's any lore anywhere out there that proves that, but essentially, at least like on the surface level, the Liyue Archon quest was just essentially the Sarita's representative. In that case was Senora. Made a deal with Zhongli. Give me your gnosis and I'll do what you asked me to do. And Zhongli wanted a way to retire. And the way for him to retire was essentially just prove to me my children will be fine without me. And that was it. And essentially, I assume that Senora told Zhongli the Sarita's plan. Otherwise, Zhongli probably would not have, given it freely. And I imagine Zhongli probably approves of the Sarita's plan. But I would imagine Zhongli is not helping them. He's just not stopping it. So we're saying Nivela is stronger than the 7 Archons combined. 7 Archons? There aren't 7 Archons anymore.
The potion. It's nearly run its course.
There are only 6 now. Farina's just a normal human now. A 500-year-old human.
Please. Please, no. Have you forgotten? This is the world you left behind. One of gentle breeze and morning dew. This is your home. This is where you belong.
People are saying that? Where do you even hear people say this stuff like that, man?
Of the past.
I mean, I guess I can't really hear anything like that because, like, I don't ever really interact with the Genshin community. I just sort of hear stuff. The only stuff that I hear of the Genshin community is the stuff that gets so loud that it's hard to ignore.
container.
Your memories have
My
returned.
internet is not great.
Wait. Did you just call
Puppeteer,
her by
you're...
her full name?
Sorry, I don't remember, but you're Filipino too, right?
Already knew each other?
Yes, I now remember everything.
Granny, please don't cry.
Oh, don't worry, my dear child. Granny is fine. I'm so sorry, everyone. You've gone to so much trouble on my behalf. It's all come back to me now. The most important thing that I had forgotten was the truth of what I once was.
One can sense the guilt that now plagues your conscience. Reclaiming a truth long buried is sure to come with a myriad of complex
It's very hard to ignore
emotions.
Bayonetta's assets, huh?
Perhaps one should recount the story on
They
your
really,
behalf while you
they
compose
really
yourself.
do present them front and center, don't they?
It's okay. Now that I've remembered, I must face my memories
It's
head on.
really hard to ignore. Not gonna lie.
Everyone, I cannot thank you
This whole
enough
time I've been
for-
rambling. I just have been,
I'm ready to tell you my story.
you know, looking.
If you're willing to listen.
Please, Granny, don't force yourself. What happened in the past doesn't matter.
Yeah, I saw that
More
message.
than anything.
I mean, Zhongli couldn't say anything. He was under contract,
I know, dear
and
child.
if he
My
agreed
feelings for
to
you
do
are
something
exactly
or not
the
do
same.
something,
It is
he
for
is the god of
reasons that
contracts,
you
isn't? Is he
deserve to
not?
know the truth.
And if the god of contracts breaks a
I made
contract, then like
terrible
what?
mistake.
What is he then?
I could never atone.
Is
Yeah,
this the sin
and
that you
this was
mentioned in
yeah,
joining
this was
Christ?
very clearly
What
worded in the second Zhongli story quest.
I am in truth not
Because in the
actually
second
Liyue.
Zhongli story quest,
My
the second
real form,
Zhongli story
one
quest
that I held for
happened
centuries,
after
was that of a wild crane.
when was that?
Spent
That
many years
I don't
living
remember.
under
When did
lonesome,
the traveler
bathing in the
find
soft
out about
waves and
Celestia?
drinking the
Oh,
sweet
I think it
dew
was
of
after the
mountains.
first
At
Dainsliff
some
quest.
point, I somehow gained
Yeah, it was
wisdom
after
and
the first
sentience.
Dainsliff quest.
The Lord of the
Um,
mountain,
that he found out about Conria and
became
stuff like
aware
that,
of
and
my
then like the
existence
traveler,
began
and
to
apparently
share many
Conria
stories with
had
me.
something to do with his
She even
sister
passed on the
and
secret of
Dainsliff
cultivation
and
to me.
yeah, and Conria
Though she
and
never took
Celestia
me on as a
and the
formal
Archons.
disciple, I always
And
saw
the
her as my
Zhongli second
master.
story quest was
Whenever she took out her
well,
tools to work on
the first
mechanisms or
time
new inventions,
that
I would
the traveler
also stand
interacted
next to
with
her
one
and
of the
watch.
well, at the
I
time
even
he only knew
contemplated
two
completing my
Archons,
training
Zhongli and
becoming an adeptus in my
Zhongli
own
and
right.
Venti.
I followed her teachings.
And
And
Venti,
time
well,
gradually
he's
passed
sort of
us
just
by.
everywhere. You can't exactly you
Until that
you can't
fateful
exactly
day
just talk to
50 years
Venti.
ago.
Zhongli,
50 years ago?
yeah, Zhongli was the first Archon the traveler got in touch with
That's
after
right.
finding out like from
Master
Dainsliff about
regaled
the
me with
Conria
many
thing
stories of her past
with
deeds.
Celestia and the
From
Archons,
them, I
etc.
learned how
So
she had
he tried
saved
like right
people
at the
from
end of
similar
the
crises in the
Ajdaha
past.
thing, the second
She
Zhongli
was the
story
one
quest.
I looked
Well,
up to the most.
was it right
More
at the
than
end?
anything, I dreamt of becoming an adeptus like her. I wanted to travel the land like she had, relieving
Oh yeah, I
suffering
think it was
wherever I
right at the end.
went.
Yeah.
But I was still far
The
from
traveler
being
tried to
real
ask Zhongli
adeptus.
what happened
I
in Conria,
possessed
and
no
he said
ability to take on
he's under
human
contract.
form and fit in with the crowd. Once she learned of my desires, Master
Dainsliff's the
prepared
god of
a
lore.
special dose
He
of
is,
evil
yeah.
mimicry potion
He
for
knows a
me.
lot, but
She warned me
mostly
that the potion
stuff
expected
pertaining to
only
the
last
Abyss
10 years,
and
and if
Conria.
I were to fail to return to my original form at the
But
end of
like
that
everything
time, I
Celestia,
would forever
everything
forget my
Archon
past as a
stuff,
crane
all of
and
that
become something
Zhongli
totally
has.
beast,
Zhongli and I'm sure the Saritsa too.
Oh, no. So that
Zhongli
was
and the
the
Saritsa.
source
I
of your
mean,
dementia all along.
as for the Pyro Archon, like we sort of don't really know anything about the Pyro Archon, so can't really count them in.
Indeed, I fell in love. Though he was human.
Who
he had
else?
sent his
I'm
invited
sure
light to
Barbados.
me in
Yeah, I'm sure
Montana.
Venti also knows a
When
lot
we
of it.
met, it was not
Yeah,
only my
and
first
you know,
foray
I'm
into the
so
world
surprised
below, but
that
his as well.
because the traveler has met up with Venti several times on different, and I understand their event story quests. I understand they hardly even say hi. Like they barely even say hi to each other. They just say hi and then they have stuff to do. They've got, you know, some sort of mission or whatever, somebody to help. So, but it's just, isn't that weird? He tried asking Zhongli. Zhongli's under contract.
I did not want to leave his
And for some reason, despite seeing Venti several times since then, still hasn't tried asking Venti.
Oh, no. What happened next?
I committed an offense.
But he did ask
I wanted to
Nahida.
stay with him, even
Nahida
if it
actually
meant
tried
living
to
a
help
life
out.
full of pain and suffering,
He asked
even if it meant
he
I
asked
would
A.
eventually turn into a monstrosity.
A didn't know what was happening because she
knew
was
I
not
had
the
betrayed
Archon at the time.
Master's hopes.
Her sister was the Archon. Her sister
ashamed
died.
to
She was busy in Inazuma trying to
So I
save
wrote her a
Inazuma.
long letter instead,
And somehow she sort of slipped through time and sort of
I was
missed
convinced
something.
that she
Like
would
it
not
was
support
no
my
no no no.
decision, and I lacked
Yeah
the
yeah
courage
she
to
missed
speak to her
something.
face to
Like
face.
she
In my shame,
she
I fled.
there were some theories about how that happened.
That was only the beginning of my
Like
troubles.
there was this
I
line
began
that
to
she
suffer
said
from a
where
strange illness.
to her
My
the
memories
Sakura
became
tree
hazy
sort of
and
just
confused,
appeared
and I
out of
could no
nowhere.
longer keep myself
And
awake.
whereas to
I
everyone,
understood
the
that my
Sakura tree
pain was
had just
caused by
been
my
there this whole
refusal to
time.
return to the life I was fated to lead.
Uh,
Along with my memories
Nahida
of
was, you know,
pain,
doesn't really know anything
I
about
forgot
about
cause my
Conria because
suffering
she
as
was
well.
just
I knew
being
only
born
that
at the
I had
time, being
committed a
created at the
sin.
time, and then it
All I
immediately
could
got
do was
imprisoned.
pray for forgiveness, even if I had long forgotten
She
what
did
it
try
meant
to
be
help. She
forgiven.
tried to go into Irminsul, tried to find
I
out
was
like
beyond
what she
lucky
could
to have come
for
across
the
that
traveler.
traveling merchant
But she
amongst
also
the
had
dead.
her
It was
own
such a
stuff to do,
fortunate
her own stuff to
coincidence
take
that we
care
were
of.
there at the same time.
Obviously,
Went for
couldn't
those
ask
soul
Farina. Farina
revitalizing
had nothing to
tea
do with it.
pills.
Igiria, I don't know how to read her name. Definitely would have been the one to ask, but well, she's gone. Nivelet didn't really have anything to do with it as well.
Tea pills concocted using the blood of an adeptus?
Feel awkward when Nahida said she doesn't know any about his sibling.
Don't tell me.
It's not the god of wisdom.
That
She's
merchant was
all-knowing
actually-
god. Yeah, an all-knowing god who is probably the youngest. Is she the youngest? Well, one of the youngest, right? Like, because Farina is also about 500 years old. Yeah, all-knowing god, right? Like, god of wisdom. One of the youngest archons who has been essentially in prison for 500 years. Like, good luck knowing all. Being in prison for 500 years.
In perpetuity. The only person I managed to deceive was myself.
Especially because
You knew where I was all along.
so
Still remembers when you were
what's it called? Irminsul. Yeah. Okay, Irminsul can't really can store information about essentially everything and everyone in Teyvat.
Found you with such ease every time. Tis a truth most
And apparently,
one always recognizes one's
she finds out. Obviously, she knows that the traveler is a descender, but then ultimately finds out that their sibling is not a descender.
Found you and I again? But how? When? And what happened after that?
She never said she didn't know anything about his siblings.
Perhaps it is now time for one to recount the rest of the tale.
Nahida said their sibling is not a descender. And that's a pretty big lore bomb. Pretty big lore bomb, right? Like, how is our traveler a descender and their sibling not a descender?
Upon receiving your letter.
So there were so many questions after that lore bomb got dropped.
To bring you to your senses.
So one of them was why, obviously. Another one was what counts as a descender, and then the next like descender lore bomb was from Nivelet. Wait, was it from Nivelet? No, Skirk. Oh my God!
As an
Whoa!
exorcist, his
Whoa!
talent
Was that the Moab?
They say his
Was
skill
that
is
the
simple
Moab
and
of all
one
lore
came to
bombs?
appreciate the devotion he bestowed upon you during your illness.
Moab means mother of all bombs. MOAB.
Someone of such character,
Man, did Skirk
decided
drop
to
one on
overlook
us.
his aforementioned deficiencies.
Just
Glaring
Jeez.
though they may have been, wishing to grant you a life without regrets.
telling us outright
One
that
gathered many divine
the
and used one's own blood to create a form of medicine.
the gnosis
It
are
managed to
parts
suppress the more
of
dire effects of your
the what was it, the third or the
illness.
fourth
How to
descender? I
deliver
don't remember.
medicine. After
Skirt,
much
skirt.
contemplation, one
What's up,
eventually
Shinran? How's it
decided
going,
to
man?
perform the deed.
Right? Like, man, that was
One took great
so-
care to alter one's features. and
Dainsleif
to
got nothing
appropriate
on that lore bomb.
Only after
Right? Like,
meticulous
Dainsleif
scrutiny
has
did
dropped
one
some lore bombs on
finally
us,
set
like the
out for
Conria thing, that was
one
big.
shooting. One
The
expected,
chasm thing, that was
most
also
ignorant
pretty
of
big.
one's true identity.
Wait, chasm?
Showed
Hang
not
on, let
even
me
the
think.
slightest
Yeah,
inkling
yeah,
of
okay, there was a chasm
recognition.
thing.
One was quite torn.
And
Should one have celebrated
Nahida
the success of
and
one's
Irminsul,
disguise,
our
or the
sibling,
loss of your
not, being not a descender, those were pretty big. But like, the Gnosis being part of one of the descenders, man. Like, lore theorists were having a field day after that. Right, like so the theory that the Tsaritsa was trying to get all the Gnosis together to like revive somehow the whichever descender that was, or at least like make them into something similar, like similar to what they were trying to do with Scaramouche, right? The third descender, thank you. Yeah, what they were trying to do with Scaramouche, right? Like they were trying to make Scaramouche into a god, right? Essentially, and
hardly that complicated of a concept to remember. To think that you tried to travel
but I'm pretty sure they all knew that that was just going to be an experiment and was not going to be the final product. And in a very similar fashion, isn't that sort of what you do, right? Like look at 8 when she made Kunikuzuchi, right? When she made Kunikuzuchi, that was just a prototype, essentially. It was a prototype, and then would have been the final one until it was too tender. He cried, essentially. Then made a different one, and then that turned out to be, well, the Raiden Shogun puppet now that we have. Right, so in the same way, what's his name? The doctor. I don't remember his other name. The doctor, the doctor. I mean, like the harbinger, the doctor. Can't remember his name. Dottore, thank you. Yeah, Dottore. Essentially, Scaramouche, the big giant robot, one of the Sumeru weekly bosses that we have now, was just an experiment.
Participant in the Archon War. Some of the gods were likely shattered by contraptions of one's.
Sometimes I forget that the Archon War and the Cataclysm are two different things,
One was
right? Like
revealed
when that was happening, like when that quest was out, I was so confused. I really thought the Archon, I really thought the Archon War and the Cataclysm were like the same thing, and then like at some point I realized, oh, the Archon War was different. I'm so confused though. Like so
One could not help but be moved by your
why was there an Archon War?
to see you happy.
Did
Was more
so did Celestia take the third descender, split it into 7 pieces, and and those 7 pieces were going to hold half of each dragon sovereign's authority over their respective elements, and then like every archon or archon candidate just essentially offed each other until there were only 7 left. Was that what the Archon War was for? Like they're It was like the Joker and Gambit's men. Like they,
Just as you and
there
I
are three men.
with her antics, so did you give one many
And essentially,
Upon finding
he
you
said,
burning
the
with
Joker
fear,
said, this was
one
like the
made
Dark
plans to
Knight,
bring you
the
back
Dark
once
Knight
you were
movie.
for treatment.
Hi, hey, what's up, Shadow Wolf? How's it going, man?
Upon seeing one's form, you began to cry, refusing to get on
Essentially,
one's
the
back.
Joker said,
When one asked you why,
our operation is small,
apparently you believed
but
that one
there's
could not possibly
room.
be a
What
true
was it? Room for
detective,
growth? No.
because all illuminated cranes are
But there's
right
room.
for
There's
tips
something
and
aggressive
one had no choice
expansion,
but to apply powder to
and then
one's
just
body to
breaks
conceal the very
breaks
vivid nature
a
of
billiard
one's
stick,
appearance.
whatever it's called,
Became
in
more
half,
amenable
gives
enough
it to
when one
3
stood
people,
before you devoid of any
and then
other
says,
It bears
"Make it
mention,
fast."
However, that as a crane, you and I was nearly entirely pure.
Is that what the Archon War is essentially?
Had never encountered her in that
There's
form.
2 sticks.
You still
There's 3 of
recognize
us.
the essence of her
We gotta
beauty.
off somebody.
Perhaps fate
In the
brought
Archon
you
Wars
two
case, it was a
together
lot of.
for more
We gotta
reasons
off a lot of somebodies, because there's only 7 sticks. What is your Xianyun level? I'm on, like, I have 3 accounts. I'm on my main account right now. I leveled her all the way to 90. Mostly because I just don't really know what to do with my Mora and XP books. Yeah. And on my 3rd account though, I have plenty of XP books and Mora, but I get the feeling that I'm gonna need that quite. Yeah, I don't have as many XP books on my 3rd account. On top of that, I have very few characters at level 90 on my 3rd account, which means if I ever someday plan to 90 all of them, I probably won't have enough XP books for all of them. So I only 90 the characters that benefit the most from going to 90.
Have you any further inquiries?
Celestia took the power of the Dragon Sovereigns as proof of their rule over Tivat. They somehow encased the authorities within the dead man's remains and let the strongest fight for them. I imagine that's probably. Yeah, that's how I see Dolores. Yeah, I imagine that's probably essentially that Joker Gambit scene, where right after he killed Gambit, right after he says, "Why so serious?" and then slices his face, and then yeah, gives 2 sticks to 3 men and says, "Make it fast."
Just know that you
Essentially, that's, I imagine that's probably what happened. But so far, I don't think we've ever seen any lore relating to what caused the Archon War.
Yet the door remains forever open to those who wish to return.
I thought Skark was just a normal character. I mean, like, dude, what is normal about...
Thank you.
What is normal about a character that even Neuvillette doesn't know about?
You and I.
Neuvillette has no idea who Skirk was.
One expects you too have sensed the rapid deterioration of your condition as of late. Have you not? 40 years
Didn't
ago,
even know who Skirk was, man. And like, so we all know how. Okay, obviously the Traveler is stronger than Tartaglia.
Decades of extra time.
But even like Skirk,
one may have extended the path.
the Traveler even says like he's surprised how like reasonable she was, how nice she was to us and to Neuvillette. And she just says, "Oh, I don't mind being nice. I don't mind being nice to strong people." Because the way that especially because the way that Tartaglia describes Skirk to him, yeah, just does not seem like a nice person.
You were able to avoid that scenario by claiming your memory.
Yeah, and that's why the Traveler was, actually said that they're surprised. They were surprised that they were so reasonable. Because they think that Tartaglia, despite being, pretty strong in Tevat, definitely not stronger than the Traveler, but still pretty strong as a combatant. Even though he was just KO'd in one shot by Neuvillette. But then again, who wouldn't be KO'd in one shot by Neuvillette?
She's gotta go back to being a regular crane, huh?
Sort of doesn't really respect Tartaglia, right? So you would imagine how strong Skirk is. She essentially lives in her master is one of the one of the witches in the Hexen Circle. What was their name? I don't remember. Hang on. Skirk's master. I gotta look it up.
Not long. The transformation is imminent.
Granny?
She said their name.
Okay? You're all I have left. Please. Don't be sad, dear child.
Sir Taloji? Sir Taloji? Yeah. I think so. I think, hang on, is this... Master, his time in the abyss. Disciple of Sir Taloji, yeah. Okay, Sir Taloji. And we don't really know anything about Sir Taloji. All we know is that they are probably one of... they're probably part of the Hexen Circle.
I promise, Granny.
Hexen Circle being Mona's master,
Good girl.
Alice,
Don't
Klee's mom.
It's not goodbye forever. I won't stop until I can turn into
Who was that? Whose voice was that? There was a voice that we heard right at the end of the Sumeru Archon quest.
We'll be able to live together again. You and I.
And
Good.
someone told us.
Even though we
Who
won't
was
see
that?
each other for a little while.
Who told us
as
this?
long
But
as we
I
both
remember
work
someone
hard,
telling
we're
the
sure
MC
to meet again someday.
that they were a voice that would guide someone in need. Nicole, that's it. Yeah, Nicole.
I'll wait for you to come back. That's a good girl. Then Granny.
Yeah, it was somewhere. I don't remember where it was, but it was somewhere that
Sorry,
that
Master.
Nicole would be like.
Thank
I don't know. They would be the voice.
for everything.
I remember hearing. I remember watching Ashikai's video on this about the Hexen Circle. It was mostly about Mona's master and Nicole. Whereas Mona's master, like her thing is she looks at the stars, right? She looks at constellations, and then looks at what somebody's fate is, right? And by essentially meaning that she believes in the fact that fate is set and cannot be changed, etc., right? Whereas Nicole, she is sort of the opposite of that, right? She tries to guide people. She tries to guide people to, I guess, what she sees as like a better direction. And which is why we heard her voice in right at the end of the Sumeru Archon quest.
Now that the issue has been resolved, you should also take a moment to relax. Give yourself some time to rest. Take a nap if you
Oh, I really like this scene, but this was the scene that I was talking about where Ether got what's the word I'm looking for? Mom zoned. I'm gonna be quiet here. This is a really nice cutscene, actually.
We would see each other again, that our days of separation would finally end, and all my troubles would be behind me. stay this way forever.
A nightmare? Curious. If you're relaxed, shouldn't your dreams be pleasant?
It was a good dream. It's just...
You weren't ready to wake up. Eloquent as one may be, words of comfort are not one's strong suit. You are
It's
doing all
really,
you can.
really hard
One
to
can see
ignore
your
those
strength of
assets,
will,
man.
Your fearlessness in the face of danger. And so, whatever your dream may be, one believes that you shall achieve it. Of course, whenever the perils you face overwhelm you, or you become weary, one is always here for you. After all, as an elder, it is only right to look out for the young ones.
Grilled chicken drumsticks.
Okay. Yeah, that was the scene I was talking about. The Ether got mom zoned.
I'm sleeping just now.
Love this quest. I know, right? This was I don't usually pay attention to character quests, but this one,
Paimon had a dream about eating grilled chicken drumsticks. That's
not
all.
gonna lie, I appreciate it. Like, I'm happy that
You're awake.
her hair was clipping through the ground. Yeah. I appreciate that they gave us this story quest. I really like it.
Granny again someday, so I don't feel so sad anymore. Madam Adeptus, could I ask you something? Would you take me in as a disciple?
You know,
And have you reason
so
for
far,
this sudden interest?
all of the Adepti
Thought what she did back then was wrong.
disciples are
She felt
playable
really bad
characters.
about it.
Right? Yanfei, Yao
Without that
Yao,
mistake,
Xiang
I would have
Ling,
never been born.
all of Madame Pink's disciples.
Even though Granny lost her memories,
Gan Yu,
she never forgot
Shen
to
He,
show me how much she
all
loved
of Cloud Retainer's disciples.
I thought maybe one day
Will Shuyu become playable too? Will we someday get like an older Shuyu and like an older playable Shuyu?
The fact that Yuandai's blood flows through your veins is proof enough of that. If this is what you desire, one shall make it so.
But quest? This is the Xianyun story quest, Lawrence.
Master.
Shuyu, are you sure about this?
I feel really bad for Shuyu. And obviously she's a fictional character, right? But like, if this was real, I feel so bad for her, right? Like,
Nothing but bitter herbs like chin-chin and
she's
violet grass.
supposed to, like, think about this. In the morning, she just woke up thinking it was going to be a regular day. Just took her grandma out to Wanmin restaurant.
Preposterous.
Just, I don't know, to have lunch. And then you meet these people, these strangers that, you know, you're like, okay, all the tables full. All right, you know what, grandma, let's go find somebody to share tables with. You just so happen to, you know, share tables with Adepti who hear about your grandma's condition, right? Like, think about this. You're a kid, right? Like, look at how little she is.
Preclude access to certain finer mortal comforts.
And
that is precisely why one plans to relocate.
all of a sudden, you find out all of this stuff about your grandma. And later, like right now, it's, you know, about sundown. You know, your whole world drops. You figure out that your grandma is going away. She's not dying, but she's gonna turn into a bird. Apparently, she was a bird who got who got so smart that became a human. Or at least who, yeah, got so smart. Somebody with powers liked her, gave her a chance to become a human. She didn't want to change back, so she had children, and her children had children. And then now, this little kid, who started their day off thinking it was just going to be a regular day, loses their grandma, now has nobody to take care of her. Right? Like, I feel really bad for her. Like, and she's taking it like a champ. Right? She's taking it like a champ. She's like accepting that her grandma's gonna be gone for a while. Wow, jeez. Don't understand. If I haven't done this yet, I you know what, Lawrence, I don't know if you're like me, in terms of like what kind of Genshin player you are. I'm mostly interested in Genshin combat stuff, but I also do pay attention to especially the main story quest, and every now and then a character story quest. And every now and then the event story quests as well. I like some of them, not all of them.
One has precious little
I actually would recommend paying attention to this one. It's really nice. It's really nice.
One would not be opposed to the idea.
I still cannot ignore those assets though. Yep. My eyes are just every time they're in frame.
Don't worry, we'll help you keep it a secret.
Yeah, RJ. Hey, what's up, Bozan? How you doing, man?
We expect to start seeing you in the city.
Perhaps in 2 days' time. One has some matters to see to before one's departure. Preparation is the key to success, after all. One plans to put up various items from one's collection for sale. The earnings should provide for a comfortable living in Liyue Harbor. One has already picked out a handsome property near Chuhu Rock. 'Tis no small purchase, but what is mortal life if not one expense after another?
Seems like you've really thought of everything. Then how about we meet up in Liyue Harbor in 2 days?
A sensible plan. See you then. Oh, also, why don't you take this suspense's
Oh my god.
mechanism as a souvenir? Anytime you should feel
alright.
ease in the future, you may try
quieting
your mind and sitting in
that
meditation as you
orange and yellow ribbon,
it might help you find a new perspective.
I imagine that there's a very, very specific reason why it's there. I imagine there's a very, very specific reason why it's there. Because, like, if you look at it from the side, like, imagine that's not there. It would just be, like, all black. Sure. You look at it from the front, it would just be, like, all black. Sure. All black. But because that ribbon is there. Because that ribbon is there. It's the valley is a lot more obvious. The valley is a lot more obvious because there's a river in it. Oh my goodness. My Paimon always shakes her butt. I mean, it's, generic animations, I guess. Fine. What about you? First time in my life, a kid called me uncle. It'll happen to you, man. It'll happen sooner or later. And, well, I guess that day is today for you. You have Nivelet? No, but I do plan on, trying to go for him. Unfortunately, the cards are not in my odds right now. No, is that... The odds are not in my cards right now? I don't know how the saying goes.
This scenery is wonderful.
By the way, Xianyun, we have a friend who helped
Are this becoming naughty? Dude, I'm a dude.
Sure. Hang out
You
to
can't
the
fight
with
nature.
As long as you don't tell a whole bunch of people.
Should we get Nivelet C1 or what? What is Lawrence?
Granny needs to focus on her training,
If you have Farina, Then C1 Nivelette makes it so that Farina is will be an upgrade to Nivelette. But at C0, Farina at C0 Nivelette, Farina with Nivelette is about the same as Farina with no. Nivelette with Farina is exactly the same as Nivelette without Farina. But at C1 Nivelette, then Farina becomes an upgrade for Nivelette. Okay, I guess I could simplify it like in a better way. If you have Farina, then C0 Nivelette and Farina equals better Nivelette. and or C1 Nivelette plus Farina. No. Wait. That's wrong. Let me start over. C0 Nivelette plus Farina equals C0 Nivelette plus no Farina. And C1 Nivelette plus Farina is greater than C1 Nivelette plus no Farina. Weapon. Okay. What does his weapon do again? Hang on, I gotta look that up.
If you wish to hear it.
Hang on, let's do this dialogue first.
About your move to Liyue Harbor, you gonna tell the other Adepti about it?
What is it called again?
I have left an explanatory note in my abode. Those two old fossils will discover it, I'm sure.
Tomb.
should
Okay,
they
there
come
it is.
seeking
Found
my
it. Tomb of
company.
Eternal Flow.
Considering their recent penchant for going off on private escapades, however, I find myself caring
So what does
little
it
for
do?
how they shall receive this
Wow.
news.
Okay, it's just straight out of the bat, HP, like HP. I remember it's a low base attack, high crit damage weapon. Immediately out of the bat, 16% HP. Okay, when HP increases or decreases, charge attack damage will be increased by 14% for 4 seconds, max 3 stacks. So which is essentially 42%. Charged attack damage. Oh my god, wow. Okay. Can be triggered once every 0.3 seconds when you have 3 stacks. Or refresh the 3rd stack. 8 energy will be restored. Wow.
Wherever in this world I roam.
Wow. Okay. Oh my goodness. Wow. Alright. This energy restoration can be triggered once every 12 seconds. Okay, every 12 seconds. Alright. It's something. The energy is something. It's not great, but it's something. But it's wow. I don't. Hang on. Sorry, I'm googling right now. I'm googling. Skibe im Himmel. Skies am Himmel. What does those mean, Siri? Can you use Xianyun weapon? Wait. Let me think. Oh no. Okay. So the high base attack. Okay. Immediately out of the bat, attack absolutely useless on Nivelette, right? Because obviously Nivelette is a pure HP scaler. So the high base attack, useless. Attack percent secondary stat, useless. Let's see. Okay, equipping character hits an opponent with a plunging attack. Okay, so let's say you run Nivelette with Xianyun, so you could plunge, sure. All party members plunging attacks will deal. Okay, all, so including Nivelette's, 20% for 20 seconds. Nearby party members hit opponents with plunging attacks. Restore 2.5 energy to the equipping character. So essentially the energy thing is, because Nivelette's on field, obviously. So this is essentially 0 energy, and all you get from this is just the 28% plunge attack damage. Compared to 88 crit damage, I highly doubt this is better. I highly doubt this is better on Nivelette, even if you're running a Nivelette plunger. Yeah, so no. It's completely like again, high base attack, absolutely useless on Nivelet. Attack percent secondary stat, absolutely useless in Nivelet because Nivelet scales completely off of HP, right? Like you look into right? You look at essentially every normal character, right? Like let's say Rite and Shogun. Okay. You look at their talents, you go into here, you look at this. It says, all right, this thing 852%, right? It just says percent, nothing more. Just number percent. But if you look at Nivelet's talents, where is it? Sorry, what is the, which one is it? I imagine that's this. Okay, yeah, there it is. Okay, so I guess that's it. Yeah, 7.32%. Right, there's number percent, but it says max HP. Right, so it's just purely HP scaler. So whatever attack you give him, essentially, like you give him. Like, I don't know. Who else is an attack buffer? You give him TTDS. You give him Bennett buff. Whatever you do. Like, 4 Noblesse. 4 Millilith. Every attack buff does nothing for him. HP scaler. Xianyun's weapon is pretty good on her, but is otherwise sort of useless. Yeah. It's pretty good on her, but otherwise pretty useless on anybody else. And I mean, like, stop acting all surprised, dude. Like I'm sure you've noticed, like, basically every 5-star signature weapon we've gotten in a good long while now have been designed exactly like that. Designed to work on only one character. The character it was made for. Like... I mean, I'm surprised you're surprised. But as for C1 Nivelet versus weapon, I think weapon. Yeah, weapon. Easily. Very easily. I think weapon first.
Your concerns are excessive and unfounded. This is but a simple collection of ordinary valuables.
How can I use Xianyun weapon if I don't have her? Oh no. What? You have her weapon? What did you wish on the weapon banner? Okay, did you want lamp? Did you want the lamp? Did you want Nahida's lamp, please? My dude. Nahida's weapon it's good, right? It's good. It's good. But all her non-signature weapon options are really good already. There's like very little difference between even sac frag.
Perfect timing.
Yeah, between even sacrificial fragments and 1,000 floating dreams. There's very little difference. I just pulled 10 and I got the weapon. Oh man. I'm sorry to hear that. I mean, you just pulled 10, but like, what was your pity at? Were you at like 60 or 70 pity? Then yeah, definitely, like a 10 pull would do that if you were at 60, 70 pity already. Because remember, weapon banner only has 80 is the hard pity on the weapon banner. It's 90 on the character banner, but on the weapon banner it's 80.
Had I not found myself in need of Mora, I would scarcely have
Why would you drop Primos or Fates on a banner that you don't really care about? I'm so confused. I guess you wanted some of the 4 stars?
Whoa, please don't go! I apologize for any insult, miss. You see, I know full well that I lack the knowledge to judge.
Nahida with Xianyun weapon? Like Nahida with no weapon. Nahida with Xianyun. Like Nahida with no weapon. Plunge? Plunge Nahida?
Very well. I will wait for a little while longer.
It's okay, I guess.
Traveler, Paimon.
Well, the thing is, at least like Nahida is not a full EM scaler. Nahida sort of split scales. Well, no, not split scale, but more like dual scales.
fun.
I didn't want to.
Last
My
time
friend
we
did it. Well, how would your
I like to
friend
say-
have access to your account?
Huh? You know how to make clothes?
Do I know how to make clothes? With the support of the proper mechanism, sewing is hardly. a
Still
challenge.
can't ignore those assets, man.
Master, I brought in most of my stuff. There's a few boxes left, but they're kind of heavy, so I just left them outside.
Fret not. I shall help you move them into your room.
Actually, I should probably sort through my stuff a bit first.
I
Everything's
borrowed
kind of messy
my
right
account.
now, so
You
maybe-
borrowed your account,
Not-
and he
not
got
master.
Nahida 20 pulls,
Yeah,
10 pulls Xianyun weapon.
It appears my
Okay,
young apprentice
I
has her
don't
own
think
fair
luck
share of
works like that, man.
secrets. No matter. Do what you must,
I mean, I'm really sorry that you got a weapon that you
Now,
for a
this
character
expert
that
you
is
mentioned,
designed
when can
for
we
a
expect
character,
your
essentially to only be useful on
there he
a
is.
single character that you just so happen to not like.
Here, allow me to make some introductions. This is Mr. Zhongli, a well-respected consultant at Wangshang Funeral Parlor and an expert in all manner of valuables and antiques. Mr. Zhongli, this is Miss Chenyu. She's the one who's looking to sell the collection of valuables.
Isn't it too late there, RJ? It's kind of late, yeah, but not like extremely late.
Huh.
But yeah. So today's stream is not going to be very long.
If it isn't Miss Xianyun. It has been quite some time since our last meeting. What a serendipitous reunion.
Indeed, most serendipitous. Have you been faring well as of late, Mr. Zhongli?
Quite well, thank you. I was fortunate enough
Yeah,
over the past
exactly,
few
exactly.
days to enjoy both
Yeah,
a
it
stroll in
is.
the mountains
That's exactly what time
and
it
a
is,
fresh
yeah.
brew of tea from the most recent harvest. The experiences left me with such insight and peace.
Huh. So you two are already acquainted?
Indeed. How fortunate we are that fate has brought us together again. If you are otherwise unaware, allow me to inform you that Miss Xianyun is a well-regarded collector and appraiser. She is well-versed in all fields, and oft-celebrated for her impeccable taste. You stand to gain much from this opportunity.
You are too kind, Mr. Zhongli. True
Beating
collectors
Abyss?
pride themselves
Did
on their
Abyss
wealth of
reset yet?
knowledge and eye for detail.
I thought it was going to be 2 days
Say
from
without
now
a doubt
before the
that
Abyss
you
reset.
are foremost in that regard.
Why, you flatter me, Miss Xianyun. It would seem that you are as self-effacing as ever.
Not at all, Mr. Zhongli. Not at all.
While I am loath
This
to
poor
butt into
dude
this
has no idea.
conversation, I must ask, you two already knew each other, and you seem to have quite a cordial relationship. Can I be certain that you're not working together to swindle me? I mean, you never know.
A preposterous accusation. The heavens themselves
Oh
will
man,
collapse before
random
you conspire to
NPC
do
has
such a
pretty
thing.
decent voice actor, man.
Miss Xianyun
I wonder
speaks
who
the
does
truth.
this guy's voice.
Contracts are built on honesty and trust. If that proves to be beyond your capabilities in this instance, this transaction may be taken elsewhere.
Say no more. Let us depart.
I jest. What fool would still harbor doubts after Mr. Zhongli himself has vouched for the goods? Miss Xianyun, wait!
I like the Chinese version. Well, what do you mean? The Chinese voices, you mean, Lawrence? It's Chiori. Chiori is, I guess, she's like a clothing designer from Inazuma.
So, Mr. Zhongli, could you please give
He
me
was
a final
introduced
verdict on
in the
the value of these items?
4.3,
There is no
yeah,
cause for
4.3
concern.
main,
They are indeed
main
rare and
event
precious
story
valuables.
quest.
Take this mechanism, for instance. Though one may not immediately perceive its purpose, its structure and appearance are exquisite enough to merit it a place in any fine home. The same can be said for this one here. Few could hope to possess an item that so perfectly blends mechanical wonder with geometric
Chill out,
grace.
guys.
I am sure you have heard from your travels
It's
that
midnight.
the study of mechanisms
It's no
is among
time.
the
Well, I
most
mean,
wondrous arts
it's
in this
midnight for
world.
me. Like, don't know
With
what
that
time
in
it is
mind,
where you are.
I I earnestly
If it's
recommend
midnight for
procuring
you too,
every
then
last
it's certainly
item in this
not a
collection.
good time to be
All right.
getting riled up.
Since I hired you as my consultant,
It
Mr.
messes
Zhongli,
up your
I
circadian
shall,
rhythm.
Of course, trust your good opinion. Then, in that case, Miss Xianyun, I'll take the lot. However, since the final sum is quite large,
Yeah, a lot of people seem
how
to
about
say
we
that the
start with an
Chinese
initial
voiceovers
deposit
are a
for the
lot better.
Northland Bank?
The Northland Bank?
Obviously, a lot of people are
Oh, you
also
refer to the
biased
fiduciary
towards
house.
English and Japanese
Oh, very
voiceovers.
well.
English, just because they
I
don't have
hear
to
people
read
only use the term bank
everything
nowadays.
to understand what's going on.
In that case,
Japanese,
I'll be off
because well, Genshin
I'll
is
return to
a
collect the goods
anime
once you've
game.
received the funds.
Yeah, it's essentially everything has the anime aesthetic to it, so they kind of want to have that like anime feeling.
My friends, have you been doing well?
We've been great. How about you? Paimon didn't know you were such a busy consultant.
My days have been quite pleasant as well. I had been quietly enjoying a cup of tea when Mr. Xiaozu requested my services. As for you, Miss Xianyun,
Oh, this is the interaction I was talking about earlier.
Settle in the city?
I must say, the name Shenyun sounds exceedingly strange coming from you. Perhaps you could dispense of that particular epithet in further conversation.
Whatever for. Am I not addressing you as a friend should?
Well, that is true, but... Alas, refer to me however you will.
Yeah, right.
After
So like,
all, a name exists
just that
such
interaction.
that
So
others may
I
associate
earlier I was
One
talking
is
about this
hardly
that
ignorant of that
lore
fact.
theorists have theorized that Zhongli is
Would
not
seem that
one
you
of
have
the
gained
seven
many
dragon
valuable
sovereigns.
insights over the years, Cloud
But he's more
One
of
has
the
indeed.
more of like a
One's
god
previous
king
days
of
were brief.
Liyue, similar
Now that one
to
has made up one's
King
mind to
Deseret.
move and
What King
settle,
Deseret was.
one has gained a much
King
better
Deseret was
appreciation of the
a
hubbub
sort of
and
god
commotion
king
of
to
the
their
city,
to his
as well
people,
as the people's hard
whereas
work and ardor.
Zhongli is
This
kind of like that,
city
but to the
is
Adeptus.
much changed from how it was more than 1,000 years ago.
Not unlike the ocean.
Yeah, right. Like
tides,
Xianyun
so
felt
too shall the
uncomfortable
movement of people
with
ebb and
Zhongli
flow.
just calling her by
Turmoil
her
to
name,
peace,
and like
enlightenment
just
to aspiration. Human
I don't know.
society
It just
possesses limited
kind of
potential.
another piece to
In
the
another
puzzle.
1,000 years, the scene we witness here may change in ways that are impossible for
Sounds
either of us
authentic.
to imagine.
So
That's enough
can
reflection
you
for one
tell me
day.
like what makes you
Get off
feel
that
like
mental
it
on
sounds more
You
authentic?
make a valid point, Paimon.
Does it like
Now that the
I
sale has
guess is it
concluded,
because the
let's
mouth
say one
movement
plays the
matches
host
better?
As we try some specialty dishes together. One must profess great interest in trying bamboo shoot soup.
Perhaps you have forgotten, Cloud Retainer.
I've
but I
never
once tried my hand at that
like the
dish.
poetry.
You were at the table
Okay.
on that occasion, so logic dictates that
I
you
guess
should
so.
have
I
already
guess so.
tried it.
Oh?
Yeah, because
What occasion was this?
It was a
Chinese
reunion between
just
friends
can't
several
be
centuries ago.
easily
Alas, you
and
must have been
it-
too
it just
preoccupied
can't
to
be
secure yourself a portion.
easily
Or
and
perhaps
or
our other
completely
companions simply availed
translated
themselves of
one to
faster
one
reflexes
to
on that
English and
occasion.
vice versa. Because
Hardly.
Chinese
But
is just a
most
very
certainly
different
out of
kind of language,
consideration
the
for the
way
others'
it works, the way it
intentions.
delivers a
In but a
message.
moment,
Of
one will
course,
show you
some
what
of the
it means
simpler
to have a true
messages can
Zephyrus
be
in hand.
like translated one to
Settle
one,
then.
but
Bamboo
then
shoot soup,
the
more meat,
voice actors and
rag roll
voice
tofu,
actresses also have to
triple
make
layered consommé.
choices.
We shall
They
enjoy
have
the
to look at the
lot.
animation,
One has
the
already
mouth
passed word to
animation,
Shenhun Gong
how
to make a
long
reservation. It
the
is
like
prime time for them to
in
meet one's
how long
newest
in the
disciple.
cutscene
Is that
it
agreeable
like
to
they have
everyone?
to express this whole thing. So they
It
are
should be a
limited in
most
that regard
splendid
as to
Cheerio.
obviously
Come
they have
now,
to
it's time to
try to
dine.
try to get like an accurate
Gentleman over here is
translation,
Mr. Zhongli.
and then they have to look
He
at the
is
animation. They have to look at how long they have. They have
A humble
to
employee of
try
Wangsheng Funeral
speaking
Parlor.
quickly. If
Pleased to
it's
make your
if they have to speak too quickly or too slowly, does it sound out of character? Right, like they have stuff like that to do, and so yeah, it definitely the other stuff that, such as like the hidden meanings and the poetry stuff just won't
I heard it's
come through
impossible to
100%.
stop eating after even just one bite. You know, 'cause it's super tempting and stuff. Is that true?
Dude, I just realized I've done this quest.
That sounds rather
You have really?
impossible.
It's pretty good. Oh, I like how they did this ending scene too. Like, it's very typical. It's very it's very, and I say typical as a compliment because they usually don't do ending scenes this well. Feel Japanese is the best in terms of Genshin and anime. I mean, yeah, obviously, because like anime essentially is Japanese, right? And most anime come from Japan, and in fact, most anime aren't even dubbed in English, right? Only the most famous ones, the ones that are actually get quite a big fan base in the Western market.
One may have won the kite flying competition, Yu Hung, but this prize should
So,
truly be
an anime, a game that has a very anime aesthetic and a very anime-ish kind of story, it just seems natural to anime fans to want to listen to it in Japanese as well. But to me, I just use English just because the voice actors and actresses are pretty good, as well as I don't want to have to read every single thing. I just want to listen. I want to watch, and I want to listen. I don't want to have to read.
One would be much obliged if you could distribute this case of Sunglow tea among the military.
If school couldn't make me read, then I'm definitely, a game can definitely not make me read.
One presumes they could
To
always
translate
benefit from something
Chinese
to
poem to English, it looks so broken and weird. Oh yeah, definitely. Because like so obviously it has something to do, like, you know, like as with all languages, right? As with all languages have obviously have a very deep rooted connection to the people's culture, right? And not only that, not only with the culture, but also with like the way that the different way that the people think, the way that they just process information, the way that they sort of absorb stuff, right? Like it's very different with the way that you do it between English and Chinese. Like for example, in like no matter how you phrase a question or a sentence in Chinese, if it has the word today, like in Chinese, the word today will always be in front. Like it's not the very front, but like pretty near the front, right? Like and while in English there is a way to phrase a sentence or question in that way. But that's just a simple example. There are more complicated examples where the structure and the word choice, in fact, the word choice becomes very different. Also, what is Chihu Rock? Cloud Retainer said near Chihu Rock. What is Chihu Rock? Is there a rock here somewhere? Or is it this whole thing? Is this a rock? Is this a giant rock? No? Oh, it is? Oh, apparently it is. Okay. Okay, cool. I guess it is a rock then. And they just built a structure around it. Try to translate Divine Comedy from Italian to English. They are much different. I imagine it probably sounds so funny, like when translated between the two languages. Okay, well, anyway, I guess that's the end of the story, I guess. Yo, Ying-er. Wanna give me some more sus lines? Oh, if it isn't my old acquaintance, did you come? Wait, stop. Oh my god, stop. Like, okay, I'm gonna... Yeah. This is why I don't read. This is why I don't want to read. If it isn't my old acquaintance, did you come all this way during Lantern Rite just to see me? Wow, they even changed her... Dialogue. Well, yeah, dialogue. You know, for Lantern Rite specifically. Okay, cool. Been a while, but you still look as lovely as ever. Would you be interested in trying my new fragrance? Oh my god. Oh man, okay. I guess you can always trust Yinger to deliver those sus lines. Even is that Daub? What is that? Dab? Some on the kite you're flying? That way it'll carry far and wide. I imagine such a guy would make a fine vacation home too. Alright. Not as sus as I, you know, like that the dialogue during the Liyue Archon quest. But still certainly sus. A bit of sus DNA still.
Ad Ast. Thank you for.
Vietnamese is like, isn't Vietnamese very like, doesn't Vietnamese include a lot of Chinese? Yeah, because like Vietnam, I imagine their language is like really heavily influenced by just because of their location, right? Because of their location, and just the overall, I guess, like the progress of the country, in terms of like how quickly or like the speed of their development, the speed of their development affected sort of how much countries that would come in would affect them, would affect the people, their culture, etc., including the language. And because of their location, they're a very common place to stop over when traveling between Asia and Europe. Right? Like Asia and Europe, Asia and Africa. And so yeah, it's and especially because it's like very near China, right? So there's a lot of influence, especially in modern day, a lot of influence from China over there.
Why do they never admit teamwork is dreamwork?
I'm not talking about like political influence, more like just cultural influence.
Inazuma shines eternal.
Vietnamese used to use Chinese characters before French people colonized them. Yeah, essentially. And that was essentially what I was talking about. Because, like, similar to, okay, think about Japan from way back then, right? Before... Before America went there and, like, forced them to open up their country so that America could trade with them. Right? Essentially, either you were a lord, either you were some form of royalty, or like a well-renowned fighter, or you were a farmer. And if a country with, you know, a lot of money and a lot of people and a lot of power and a lot of technology and weapons just straight up come in there dissing everyone, saying, yo, you're gonna trade with us and you're gonna like it.
Inazuma shines
right? Like you sort of can't really do anything about it. And that's kind of a thing. Well, that was a thing with the Philippines, right? With, you know, Spanish, America, right? Ring any bells? Oh no, Spanish, Spain, Japan, and America. Vietnam with China, and then yeah, just like Siri said, France.
Shine down. Let the world collide. I'm going in.
I imagine like the random, well, I wouldn't say random, but like the switch to the English alphabet was probably partially after the Vietnam War, or like no, maybe not after, but like caused by that. But at the same time, partially because of, well, I would imagine Hollywood is probably one of the USA's biggest ways to export their culture. Right? Like if it weren't for Hollywood, if Hollywood didn't exist, and like Hollywood wasn't the way it is now, I think a lot of countries' secondary languages would be far different from what it is now. I would even dare say the Philippines' secondary language would probably be Chinese, given how much we do business with China. Maybe even Spanish. Who knows? In fact, some really old people that are still alive now, they learned Spanish in school when they were still in school. The ones that were lucky enough to go to school, at least. Alright, just switching accounts. Gonna do dailies on those accounts. Be right back. US has culture. Well, here's the thing. Their culture is capitalism. That's it. Capitalism. What is the culture of capitalism? Essentially, screw everybody over, everyone you know, including your mom, you know, for exponential growth. That is the culture of capitalism. Wish they continued teaching Spanish in school. In the Philippines? I mean, I guess it wouldn't hurt. But then, like, they would have to replace English with it, right? And I mean, like, it's if the Philippines all of a sudden switched all English classes to Spanish or to Chinese or to whatever language, I'm pretty sure people would still be learning English, you know, just on the side. Just because there's very little local content, or at least there's very little good local content in the Philippines. Most of the good content just comes from Hollywood. So yeah, a lot of, even if schools didn't teach English and they replaced all English classes with just another language class, then I think people would still be learning English on the side.
Teamwork is dreamwork. Let's get them. Inazuma shines eternal.
Jeez, 54k Xiangling Pyronados. Although that is certainly a little bloated because of this domain. This domain gives crit damage and ER. Oops.
Shine down. Let the world collide. Everybody stand back. Let's light it up.
Nice and spicy.
People there are mostly have Spanish names. That is true. Yeah, there is a lot. I mean, like the Spanish, the Spanish were here for like 3 centuries, so this was their country for like however many generations. And like I imagine, like there's really not a lot of history of Filipinos before the Spanish came here. I imagine like we were a pretty illiterate people before the Spanish came. So that's probably why there's like essentially like 90% of the Filipinos have Spanish names. I imagine like 100% Filipino, pure-blooded Filipinos probably did not have family names even. Think about this. Try and think about this like from like an everyday life standpoint, right? Imagine like you were here back then. So, okay, you were born to, I don't know, part Spanish parents, right? Like their grandparents were Spanish, obviously. Their grandparents already had family names, as people in, Europe would have already for like hundreds of years, or maybe even a few thousand years. Whereas these tribesmen in this country that has never, well, maybe not never, but like mostly been untouched by other civilizations, like what need would they have for family names, right? And at some point, and I'm sure like some parts of the Philippines weren't affected very much by the Spanish. Especially some really remote places, right? Remote places like that are really deep in the jungle, or really far up in the mountains, really deep in the mountains. I imagine there's probably like families or villages or entire clans of people that were never affected by the Spanish. So even I imagine that even until like several generations, even after the Spanish colonized the Philippines, those people probably still did not have family names until at some point they would have to come down to towns and cities, and like for example, I don't know, like they would try to try and imagine this, right? Climate change, etc., whatever, right? For some reason, their crops suddenly stopped producing or did not produce as much yield as it usually does, or for some reason most of the animals that they usually hunt are gone. They've migrated, they never came back, or they either over hunted, right? Because their clans got so big, they over hunted a specific location of whatever kind of animal that they usually hunt and eat. At some point, someone is going to think, Mom, Dad, I heard that in the city, in the town, if you have money, you can just buy food. I'll buy food for you. I'll buy food for the family. And then like Mom and Dad will say, but yes, we heard that. We heard about that. But you need money to do that. And then kid says, yes, Mom and Dad, I know about it. I'm going to go get a job. I'm going to do this. I'm going to help this. I'm going to do that, do this, do that. All right. They go get a job, but then they can't get a job because they have no ID. They can't get an ID because they have no family name. Right? Or if not the child, planning to get a job to support their parents, then maybe a dad, or maybe a dad who suddenly has a kid, can't feed them because they have no land, don't know how to farm, don't know how to hunt, or know where to hunt, has to get a job, has to integrate into society, probably just decides, oh, family name, I need this kind of name, right? But this is my name, And then they were like, no, you need a family name. And they were like, they'd be like, okay, what's a family name? And they would try to explain that to him. And then they just started like come up with whatever words, whatever very Filipino words. And that's why those are probably the very few Filipino bloodlines that have very Filipino sounding family names today. And right, like I imagine, just it's, you know, who knows? I could be completely wrong, but I'm imagining that's probably one of the only way, one of the few ways, one of the few possible reasons why there are very few people in the Philippines today that have very Filipino and very not Spanish family names. Filipinos were like Asian Latinos. US culture is like the invent dangerous weapon, use them, force them to trade, earn more money, use them again to invent new weapon. Oh, you're missing a few steps, Chauvin. So okay, so yes, they invent dangerous weapon. They use them. They get good at using them. They force others to trade with them. And then included in that trade is labor trade. And because whoever they forced into trading with them is new to the game, they have a relatively low economy, which means cheap labor that they could take advantage of. They use that cheap labor to invent more stuff, to sell more stuff, including inventing new, more dangerous weapons, and then do it all over again. Repeat. Right? Isn't that sort of what happened with Japan, right? Like, Japan was a manufacturing powerhouse for Western countries, especially America, right? And at some point, Japan's economy got so good that salaries went up and up and up and up, that it wasn't cheap labor anymore. It was actually, and their manufacturing is really good, right? Their manufacturing is really good. And it's because they've gotten so good. It's not cheap labor anymore. In fact, to a lot of people, Japanese manufacturing, it's like a luxury. Like, if you could buy something that says "Made in Japan," it's like a luxury to some people. Right, like the name Toyota, for example. Like, nobody would buy a Toyota thinking, "Oh, I just want the name. The name's nice." Right? No, like, they buy a Toyota if they want. People buy a Toyota if they want a car that'll last forever. Really makes me curious how real Philippines names look like. I know, right? Like, I honestly, I wouldn't say I'm disappointed, but like, I understand. I mean, you know, we have no idea why, but I understand that it's possible that Filipinos before the Spanish came were just completely illiterate and had no reason to write down anything, right? To keep record of anything, right? Like, think about it. Imagine if you live out in the countryside. Imagine you live in the countryside and you live on a farm. What would make you ever think about writing down logs of what you're doing and how you're doing things? Right? Like, I imagine that was probably the Filipino people before the Spanish came here, so probably why there's little to no history regarding Filipinos before the Spanish came here. Oops. Oh. Yeah, C5? No. Which constellation is it? C3? No, C4. Using a rhythm damage dealt. Okay. No, not that. C2. Yeah, C2 Diluc makes Diluc normal attacking a lot more fun. Like, look at this. Right? It's faster. It looks a lot more fun. But I think Philippine languages had their own scripts before they used ABC. Oh, I'm sure they did. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I doubt we even wrote anything before the Spanish came here. Right? Like, even today, the Philippines is a very farming heavy country, right? And I imagine farming and fishing have been a very big part of life for Filipinos. Oh man. Gonna have to do this then.
Off we go. Let's light it up.
Oh, come on.
Let's light it up.
There you go. Yeah, I would imagine, like, when I say illiterate, I mean like actually illiterate. I'm just a guess, right? I'm just guessing. But I don't think fishermen and farmers would ever think, just, you know, out of the blue, ever think about writing anything down. They would just tell everyone, hey son, do it like this. And I imagine they would never ever think about writing it down for their kids. Right? Like, to help them remember.
Retribution!
I'm sure they probably had some kind of script, but definitely, like, I would imagine there was probably no formal education system, right? They would probably just have their own scripts, like, for example, if there was any form of trade back then, right? I would imagine, like, sure, there's probably trade back then, but very much just, you know, bartering. And everybody sort of just trading with everybody they knew. And there would, like, nobody would just have, just nobody would have stores or anything similar to that.
Teamwork is dreamwork.
40k Bennett burst, huh? Alright. I guess that'll end it. I don't know about farming anymore, since we are one of the largest importers at the moment. Oh yeah, that is true. Isn't that weird? Philippines, very large farming country, has so many farms, but then imports so much of its agriculture. Isn't that weird?
Retribution!
RJ, you know, all the Americans and Canadians living in the US are not all Americans, obviously. All the Americans, like, were killed. All the actual Americans, well, I mean, like, there's still a few of them left, but most of them were gone. They're all British, French. Let me see who else. And Mexicans. Yeah, essentially, yeah. British, French, Africans. Well, I guess the U.S. is kind of a hodgepodge of people. If you have even an inkling of world history, then yeah, like everybody, like anyone who has any inkling of world history would know that people in the US are not the people who lived in North America originally. You know, I find it weird that what most people refer to now as Americans, you know, white people who used to be British and French. uh at one point, and even still today, even until today, are really racist. It's fascinating to me how they can say, "Go back to your country. You're not American." It's fascinating to me how, like, somehow, I guess, like, they never paid attention to history class, or maybe it just wasn't taught in history class. I mean, America doesn't try to hide it, but they also doesn't try to hide their past, but they also don't really just display it for everyone to see. Right? Like, they don't deny that. They're not like trying to cover it up, you know, to make sure nobody can see how, like, what kind of past they had. But I imagine I don't know, they would probably at least teach that history in school, right? Because, like, isn't there history class? And the USA is not exactly the kind of country that would lie or, like, change history unless it was so bad. Germans, Dutch, Brits, Irish, Swedes. Germans, all the other Europeans probably went there around about 100 years ago, probably, is when America started to really make a big deal. Like 150 years ago, when essentially when the USA started to get into heavy industry. Yeah, I assume. Just assuming. Because a lot of there were a lot of rich people in Europe, right? From all the different European countries. And if you had a lot of money at the time, and whether you were rich or poor, if you were rich, you had money to spend, which means you have money to make more of. If that makes sense, right? You had money to spend to make more. And if you were poor, you would hear that America was the land of opportunity or something like that, right? Like, just like, you know, wasn't that what the Titanic was about, right? Like, you know, all those poor people, like, well, not all, but most of those poor people on the Titanic, weren't they going to America to sort of, like, start over, start a new life? So yeah, America was a very at least to people's eyes, was a very big opportunity. Yeah, but I mean, like, I imagine like 200 to 300 years ago, it was basically Brits and French people. And maybe a few black people too, a few Africans. Essentially slaves turned into soldiers. Or like, well, not turned into, but like forced to fight. Forced to be soldiers. And if not Africans, then some Native Americans too. At that point, like, you know, at that point in time, there were probably no more Native Americans, like pure-blooded Native Americans. Wow. I'm not even sure I should throw this away, honestly. Hey, England wasn't even England back in 1,000 years ago. Yeah, England was England is, while sure there's like a lot of history in England, but that doesn't mean it's an old country. Yeah, England is like quite young. Lived in the US for a few months and I have a few friends, so I know their history. Their history is like we get freedom, we invent this, we fight those wars, we get world freedom, we are the best. Yep, that's essentially, well, that's not their history. That's their mentality. That's their mentality. That's not their history. Not bad. Not bad. Not bad at all. I'll take it. No crit rate, but hey, not bad. I'm not sure why I locked this. Maybe I wanted to see if it rolled good crit damage at +4. Whoa. ×5 bonus? Oh my god. What? Did I just get a back-to-back? I mean, it's, you know, it's not amazing, but it's not bad either. Jeez. Englishmen actually don't have any culture. Welsh, Cornish, Breton, Manx, Gaelic, Irish, Irish Gaelic, Scottish Gaelic are the true British languages. Oh, okay. If you think, all right, try and go back through history, right? Like, so the here's the thing. Like, while trying to um backtrack through history, always keep this phrase in mind. History is written by the victors. And the thing is, the victors don't always have to be the good guys. Right? And obviously, I'm sure you guys thought that was obvious. Because sometimes the good guys, they are brave and they care about other people. They self-sacrifice. So essentially, they're not able to pass on their bloodline because they die so quickly, because they're brave, because they're selfless, they're heroic. They don't get to write history. Right? They they can't. So history is written by whoever's left, essentially. And now I have no idea if Troy was real, right? Like, there's very little evidence of it being real, but there is some evidence that it was real. But in a lot of history references, Agamemnon was not a nice dude. He was greedy. He wanted everything, essentially. Right? So, if Agamemnon was the bad guy who wanted everything, like, you can't expect to have everything. Right? No matter how much you try, right? And Agamemnon was greedy. He was willing, at least, like, this is how he's often inferred to be in, like, any like literature. And if you think Agamemnon was the good guy, if Troy was real, I'm not sure what to say to you. A guy like that, the good guy, that's the good guy. If that's the good guy, who's the bad guy then? So, and right, and if it's true that Agamemnon ultimately, used the Trojan horse, right, to get into Troy, right? So in a way, he sort of cheesed his way into the city, and when he won, he didn't really win. Like, he didn't win fair and square, at least, especially back then, right? Like, back then, the way battles were fought, like, there was, like, some level of respect, at least. But if that whole story was true, if that whole myth was true, then he didn't really win fair and square. He sort of cheated because, like, he's greedy and wants everything, and he knew he was losing. So in that situation, who's really the bad guy, right? But despite, if again, like I said, if that whole story was true, if he was the bad guy, he won. I mean, like, he was the one left in the end. He got to decide how history would be written. And try and imagine this. Like, okay, so what were those cultures that that Siri said? Hang on, let me see. Welsh, yeah, basically all of those, like, old European languages and cultures. And right. England got created because it was Alfred the Great idea to unite Mercia, Northumbria, Wessex, East Anglia together to become England, and Asia made Alfred dream driving back the Danes of England. Okay, right. So okay. You're already starting the history lesson, and yes, this is exactly where I was going into, right? Some loser found a way to be the last one standing, or found a way to be the last man, the last man standing, and they were able to write history. They were able to make the decisions themselves. They were able to rule because they were the last man standing. Them and their family and their whatever their mindset is, that was essentially the culture that they passed down onto future generations, right? Like I said, so yeah, in as you were saying, Siri, Agamemnon and Troyes were just legends based on historical events. Iliad is just Greek epic poem by Homer. Yeah, right. Like, but still, right? It's poetry. Obviously, you cannot pull poetry out of thin air. You have to have some inspiration from somewhere, right? So the fact that this poetry got created in this way, where like, right, where essentially someone attacks someone who was just minding their own business, who's really the bad guy there, right? Obviously the aggressor, right? And in the end, they get to decide whatever they want. They get to write history because they're the ones left. Those who stand at the top determine what's wrong and what's right. This very place is a neutral ground. Justice will prevail. You say, of course it will. Those who win the war become the justice. Yeah, and Westerners are really good at this stuff too. Not good at ruling. They're good at staying there. They're good at staying there. And by that I mean they're good at I guess they're good at keeping their power. They're good at keeping their power, and they're really good at painting the narrative. Yeah, painting the narrative without. And I mean, like, sure, they do sweep stuff under the rug, sure, yeah. But they're also really good at doing that in a way that most people will say, "Oh, we understand why he did this, that." Like, they're very good at painting the narrative. I mean, yeah, that's exactly it. To feel good. To feel good, exactly is what it is, right? They were like, that guy is powerful. I want to be like him. But obviously, okay, if you go like far enough back, right? Far enough back, like what wasn't leadership and like whoever ruled usually, like if we go way back, wouldn't society be decided by the strongest? Right? Like wouldn't it be usually like the strongest who would be leader? And by strongest, I mean like physically strongest, like the strongest fighter, like the physically strongest guy, like stuff like that, right? It's funny that today's world is due to people lacking spices. Hey, trade. It's yes, it was the spices, but overall it was the system of trade that sort of did all of it. Well, essentially it was more like stealing, but yeah, let's call it trade. Wow, I was on a roll today. I got quite you know, I can't remember if how many decent artifacts I got today has ever happened to me before. I got quite a few decent ones. In fact, I might even be able to upgrade Farina if, let's see. Oh, definitely did not get any HP ones. No. How about these? 29. That's a lot of crit damage. I don't think I got anything higher than that. Oh wait, what's my crit ratio like now? 74. Kind of sad. Fab sword. Okay. So okay, 74 and 137. Sure. Some more crit damage. No, I don't have any. Wow, that is sad. A lot of ER though. Wait, do I need ER? Okay, I'm pretty sure I need a lot of ER as well. Can I lose 14 ER? Okay, this one's only 13. And I'm gaining HP. I'm losing some crit rate. Wait. How long have I had this? What? This. Yeah, this is perfect. Give me that. All right, I could stand. Yeah. All right. Wow. Okay, that was wow, a lot. Wait, what? How did I lose so much ER? Oh yeah. Oh, because I lost all 24. Wait, was it 24? Okay, I lost all 24 ER. Okay, I don't know if that's good enough. I don't actually know a lot of the newer characters' ER requirements. Arena. Good day for me too. My Navia is in 11% in Akasa. Akasha, you mean? Wow, really? Nice, nice. I'm sort of looking up Farina ER requirements here. Solo Hydro no Fab. Nivelet on team. 1 skill. 2 Fab. Wow. Yikes. Farina's ER requirements are quite high. Well, not really high, but like Reformers with 120 ER, punching air as we speak. Okay. Sorry, I'm reading some comments of this. Okay. I don't think this is gonna work. I don't think this is gonna work. 165 ER. Man. This looks reasonable, but I would really still prefer to get somewhere close to 200 ER. Okay, how about an ER Sands? Do I even have any good ER Sands? No. Mona. I mean, I can't remember the last time I used Mona. Definitely can't use that. That's right in the Shoguns. Okay, okay. Well, whatever, whatever. All right. Let's take Mona's for now. Okay. 31k HP. That's still decent, I guess. Yeah, I guess that's still decent. All right, let's check our ER now. ER. Okay, that is definitely up there. All right, we got some HP back with this, with the substat from this. Okay. Ah, all right, that is certainly a lot better. Certainly. I'm not happy that my Mona now feels naked. But I'm sure we'll live. 5 emblem. Okay, maybe we could replace that with something. Sure. Yeah, alright. Sure. Still usable. All the things would have been different if Europeans tried to do the same things 1,000 years ago before they started. If they did it during the time of Ashoka, the result would have been different. Yeah, I'm just going to take a wild guess here, but I think it was a lot of the... It was like some losers, some weaklings, who knew that they couldn't fight their way to the top, who decided on what they were referring to, a better way to live. And a better way to live, aka you don't need to be a strong fighter to have status. And in a way, I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with that. Because, like, think about it. From way back then, humans, or whatever we were back then, we were hunter-gatherers, right? We hunted. We hunted for our food. And at some point, we discovered farming. And with farming, we realized, oh, we can feed way more people without the risk of dying and without the risk of potentially not catching anything. Right? So, and I don't, yeah, I certainly would say very few, if not no people at all, would even say that was a bad choice. And way back then, I would imagine there was little to no society. People would just have a family, find some land of their own, cut down a few trees, build a house, etc. Make up their own farm, or maybe hunt their own food. And then you would just see bandits roll up and just massacre everybody, take your stuff, take your food, etc. And that would be the end of the story. That's it. Like, nothing. No justice, no law, nothing. And I think humanity just preferred... I guess humanity preferred the safety behind laws and rules. Yeah. But traded a little bit of the equality. And by equality, I mean you couldn't just be the strongest and be at the top, or be the strongest and succeed. You had to be the strongest now in a different regard, such as either being good at trade or being good at something, having a skill, like being a blacksmith or something. Yeah, and I think most people Especially because the population was getting bigger, right? Because of farming was just able to provide suddenly so much more food than just hunting and gathering. And again, the lower risk of people dying from like going on hunting trips and starvation in case there was, nothing to catch, or hunts wouldn't go as well as they usually do, right? All of a sudden explosion in population because all of a sudden now you could feed all of these people. And I imagine a lot of these people they didn't grow up to be fighters because there was no more hunting, right? There was no more physical activity such as hunting. It was just farming. And I imagine most of these people didn't want to have to be the strongest to have status. And so a lot more people probably preferred to follow the guy who was starting a new movement for a new society filled with trade. Man, I find it fascinating. Like every time I zoom out of like my own like first person perspective, and not only zooming out in space, but also trying to zoom out in time. I'm not a historian. I don't read up on anything. In fact, I don't read or anything. I just sort of try to guess using what just sounds like what seems to me like makes the most sense. And who knows, my guesses could be completely wrong. And I'm sure they are, especially if we already currently have evidence of otherwise. How many primos do you have, RJ? Not much, man. I have some on this account. My second account has more, but my main account, yikes. No. I don't know about the other countries, but in India, the society was very civilized without European law. Honestly, I have no idea about India. You know what? No. When you say civilized, India is one of the few really, really old civilizations. Right? Like, alongside China and Japan. And Korea. China and India, especially. And I think that's just again, not a historian, but I think that's mostly because by the time that the rest of the world started to become more civilized, India and China have basically done the same exact thing for thousands of years. Exactly. 4K and 11 fates. I can't even save up to 1600 primos without buying a 10 with it. Hey, I getcha, man. I getcha. We all want a lot of stuff, man. I mean, I feel really anxious right now because rumors are saying that 4.5 will be Nivelet and Kazuha. And guess what? I don't have Nivelet. While I do have Kazuha on all my accounts, I would really want to get C2 Kazuha. And so, as I said, I don't have Nivelet. I have this many wishes. But kind of zero pity. Not exactly zero, but might as well be zero. And on 50-50. So... And I really would prefer to get Nivelet's weapon too. And if they do come on the same banner, Kazuha and Nivelet, that means Freedom Sworn. And I don't know how I feel about Freedom Sworn. Yikes. Honestly, though, I really don't know how I feel about Freedom Sworn. It's a very whale weapon.
Oh, but why must the listener grow weary whenever I
Senha. Wait. Senha. What was his... Hang on. Senha Kobayakawa? Oh, Senna. It was Senna, not Senha. Okay. Oh man! All of a sudden, I thought you were. All of a sudden, I thought you were kidding. I thought you were. I thought you were referencing Eye Shield 21. Man, that's an old anime. I had fun watching that anime. It was fun. Heard there will be 3 banners. 3 banners. If they're really headed that direction, I don't know. I mean, it makes sense, but it's going to be very new player unfriendly. Having more banners running at the same time. It's going to be really new player unfriendly. And all these like new changes that Hoyo's been making, like for example, right, like giving us the teleporter here, right? Like right at the beginning so that you don't have to do Sumeru to go to Fontaine. Like for example, unlocking, what was it? Unlocking Fontaine, and where you don't need to there was something that they unlocked, like not having the chasm quest. Yeah, unlocking the chasm quest where you didn't have to do a certain Archon quest or whatever to be able to do the chasm, right? Like they've been starting to do stuff that makes Genshin a little more new player friendly. But having so many banners running at the same time, new players are going to be overwhelmed, especially because the fact that the game is more than 3 years old now, which means the community has so much information on all the characters now and on all the ways to play the game, etc. So by the time that a new player asks, which should I pull for? You'll be showing them an essay, 100-page essay of what every character, what each of the 3 characters do. Also, how would weapon banners work? Right? How would weapon banners work? Would there be 2 weapon banners? One would have 2 weapons, and then the other one would have 1. They even succeeded in destroying the name of a certain kingdom. Hey, it's just greed, man. Greed is exactly what it is. Need to save my primos. If Neve is just around the corner, then so is Risley Cake. Alright. I only wished on a weapon banner once ever in history of playing Genshin. Yeah, I mean, like, weapon banners aren't exactly... They're not exactly something that people the players that still lack a lot of the sort of what's the word I would use to describe them? Man, I can't find the word to describe them. So the staple, there you go, some of the staple characters in the game, right? Like for example, okay, Kazuha, right? Like I cannot say that he is a necessity for every account, but having a Kazuha or a character like Nahida, right? Or a character like, let's see, who else? Like Yelan, for example, right? They make such a big difference to how your account feels when you start doing combat. Or a Nuvillet, right? A Nuvillet. Or an Al-Haytham. Al-Haytham, not as much as somebody like Nuvillet, because Al-Haytham needs a decent team around him. Like the right supports, but you know, still similar in terms of DPS output, like DPS floor and DPS ceiling. So yeah, it's weapon banners are hardly something that newer players should start going after, unless they've had at least a few of the staple characters, 5-star characters in the game. So Zhongli, right, is one of them. If you want comfort in your gameplay, not having to dodge as much, etc. And won any 50-50 in limited character banner. Lost 7 50-50s in a row, but won every 50-50 on weapon banner. I have 6 5-star weapons for limited characters. My god. I don't know whether to say that's a blessing or a curse, because like it's a blessing in a way, but at the same time a curse. Jeez, that's rough. Well, anyway, yeah, I think I'm gonna head out, guys. It's getting kind of late. So yeah, it was fun. You know, good chat. Me standing in front of the crafting bench for like an hour, just rambling. Anyway, if you guys need any help building your characters, accounts, making a decision on which banners to pull for, feel free to join our Discord server. Links are in the description of all my videos, VODs, and streams. You can ping me over there to ask for my opinion. My name is Elvis Einstein on our Discord server. You can ask for other people's opinion over there too. Anyway, have a good day, good afternoon, good evening, and thank you so much for coming by. Hang out and being awesome people. Take care, everybody. Bye, guys. Don't mind me, just a burb lady walking by. Alright. Anyway, yeah, bye everybody. See ya.